Hey, what's up, everyone?
Evening, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
What is up? What is up? Holy shit! 42 comments already. Okay, that's a good thing, though. That's a good thing. That's really awesome. Hi, everyone. Before I come and visit you all in the comments, just let me quickly just want to welcome and shout out my newest subscribers, Sean Kroll or Kroll. I would say Kroll. But Sean, if you're out there, let me know, please. I'd like to pronounce people's names correctly. Welcome. And Hazel or Hazel, not sure. Sorry about that. Please also let me know if you listen. If you're listening, let me know how to pronounce it. And several of you whose names I didn't see because of your privacy settings. I appreciate it very much. And hope you tune in live, especially that's what my channel is geared toward. It's the live experience that's fun. If you tune in and make comments in the chat, I will acknowledge you and chat with you. So you're a part of the show as well as the people who are on screen with us together. So that's it. So thank you for that. And the other thing, I just want to quickly, I just think there's a couple of things I want to quickly promo. Of course, for that, I will jump into the chat here. Let me just putting a link, everybody, for those of you who haven't seen it yet. This is a direct link to the latest episode of our wonderful guest, Carl Sodergren's channel. Carl's collection, his latest episode is a 45-minute length. I mean, you talk about length. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, who goes longer than 45 minutes at any time?
45 minutes on YouTube. Holy shit, I've never done that before. I wonder what that feels like. But yeah, really a lot of fun. And you get to see Carl show art pieces that he came back with from OAX and talking about the pieces primarily. That's what the 45 minutes pretty much entails. So a lot of fun, especially compared to if you're used to watching his content, you're typically looking at 6 to 15-minute videos. So it's a lot of fun. Well done, Carl.
Thank you. It was a lot of talking at my iPad. So
okay. By the way, it's very interesting you mentioned that, because when you talk to your iPad, it's funny because I noticed you make this effort to always look right into the camera.
I try.
The iPad, but I'm like, man, if he would only look to the left a little more, then it would look like he's talking to the viewer like directly, I
know. I love me, so I just stare at me the whole time. So it's hard to do that. And then sometimes on the outro, I'll think like, oh wait, I should look over there.
But, yeah, it's tricky. I know the whole, even me, because of where I have my camera, and I don't really have a choice in terms of the height where the camera is. I've tried to make it look like when I, looking directly at the viewer, but no matter where I look, it's like it doesn't look like I'm looking at the viewer. I don't know. It's harder.
I'll do like a camera 2 type thing. I'll just talk over here and then just avoid that whole thing altogether.
Yeah,
it's tough. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah,
I'm we're amateurs at this, I guess. So it's like whatever we do it. We're doing our best, right, Carl?
Exactly.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And the only last thing I just wanted to promo everybody, if you don't mind, please let me do this. And this is for this coming Friday. This is Nikki B. I think I'm not even sure, for crying out loud. I think I forgot to do this last week. It's for Friday's show, Nikki B's show. So there you go. That's the link to that one. If you're not subscribed and you want to maybe bookmark it or something, yeah, please do so. And there you go. This is for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. That's Nick Barucci's show on the EXP. And that is here on YouTube at youtube.com/ here. Actually, why don't I actually show it to you? Here we go. The EXP. youtube.com/the EXP. And it's a sales show combined with a talk show, I guess you can call it. A lot of fun. So check it out. Affordable art most of the time for anybody who's a newbie to the hobby. So it's pretty cool. Check that out. All right. So let me get back here. Let me jump in and say hello to everybody. Holy crap. Sorry, everyone. I didn't expect that many comments, but All right, I'm going to jump over. Oh, there's even comments from my guests here in the studio.
Yeah, Jason and I were just talking.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to definitely jump all over those.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. The first bunch are you guys. What's up, Dino? Good to see you. Of course, #1 Marvel fan, Tommy Boy. Look at him. He's even telling us now, Tom.
Yeah, because I said since I met him in person, I feel weird about calling him #1 Marvel fan. It's like, hey, it's Tom. That's
it. I told him. I told him a few weeks back. I was like, all right. He told me, it's Tom, whatever, Tom Thomas. Well, because we know each other on Facebook, but on Facebook he's Thomas. But I'm like, all right, man. So we're cool. So I have a tendency to add the E sound, and when I contract people's names, when I'm, when I like them, or when I'm like, I have a certain familiarity with them. So like a Frank becomes a Frankie, or Nick becomes Nicky, So I told him, Tom, you're Tommy from now on. He's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Some people call me that.
If you ever call me JC, that's the last time I talk to you.
I was gonna say Carly. That's like, I don't know. That's probably we're out.
No, you would have it worse. You would have it worse for sure, Carl. No, as you guys know, it doesn't work with every name. So obviously, JC, Carly wouldn't happen, and Heidjer definitely ain't gonna happen. So we're all good with that. But hey, Alberto, I don't know if you saw, but just so you know, I replied to the comment you left me on my Instagram when the promotion for tonight's episode. So I answered it, and basically it's to say I had no idea that you had even gone to the show. So I would have maybe asked you had I known. So there you go. Jewish Dragons, good evening to you. Thank you. I think you also just followed me. You just followed me today or yesterday on Instagram. So that was cool to see you there. I like all this cross sort of promotion. That's kind of fun. So lovely to have you. And hey, what's up, Gabe Carino? Speaking to Heidjer, there you go. So I'm sure Heidjer will have said hey already. And Vivian saying hello to all you guys. All right. That's excellent. That means there's a bunch of them. I can just keep skipping. All right. Let me see. All right.
That's a wrap, everyone.
What's that?
I said, and that's a wrap.
It's over. Good
3
night,
hours
everybody.
of hello. Yeah.
Let me see. Maki Poo. Lovely to see you, sir. And hey, JC, as always, good looking out. And I don't know what Rick is. So what's up, Rick?
He's talking about I got 2 Manic Pieces at the show. I think that's what he's referring to. Yeah.
All right, Rick.
Yes.
Yes. There we go. Thank you. See, good. Tonight I got 3 of you here to sort of help me out when I'm lost on like what Marcus says, what some of the other guys say. They often go over my head, as you guys have seen in the past, right? So,
but now Marcus is gonna like intentionally try to throw all 4 of us and consider that a win.
Oh, look at that, Carl. Look at that, Carl. Jack. Hey, I've been catching up on Carl's bids all this week.
Thank you. Yeah, Jeff's one that I meant to catch up with. I just didn't happen. Next year.
What's up, CJ? Look at that. Scott's here with his different account. The one that confused me and we couldn't figure out. Is that Scott Wingo? Or is it a guy called Scott Win? Go home. That's funny. But got to meet Jason. That's cool. Didn't get to meet the others. That's cool, but at least it's somebody. That's
Next
nice.
Year, yeah.
Very nice to meet Scott.
Yeah, that's awesome. And oh man, Marcus, is my camera that bad? Because I'll tell you something about 4K. The streaming software I have, so apparently I remember them saying that they recommended you just get a 720p camera because they were like, we stream, I think they said, we stream in 720 anyway. So even if you got yourself like a 1080 or higher, it wouldn't make a difference. That's if I understand that that's how it works. So that's how they said. So a 4K camera wouldn't help. Is it that bad? I don't know. It looks like my camera is similar to everybody else's.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see me in 4K.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, this is fine. It's good. All the cameras are good.
Let me do this. Let me see. I don't know. It's pretty clear. I don't know. I mean, I don't have great lighting because I'm just using a regular lamp or whatever, but okay, whatever. I'm not buying a 4K camera though, Marcus.
I don't have bad lighting. We just live in Michigan, and we get paler and paler and paler as the winter goes through.
I'm sure you've never heard of that guy, Alberto. Ruby. Ah, good one, Marcus. Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, jokes. Let me go. Okay, excellent. Needs to look as good as West Coast the Avenger. Well, yeah, so I guess Marcus, it's possible that he just doesn't use StreamYard, right? And like I say, I believe it's probably some kind of limitation with StreamYard. But if you go directly through YouTube from the back end of YouTube without using streaming software, maybe then you can use as high resolution as you want to. But okay, whatever. It is what it is. That's cool.
I actually found a setting in YouTube that like it allows you to upload in the highest quality possible, which I don't know that I did the first couple of videos. So
is that right?
Yeah. So
yeah.
I have no idea. The one that the haul video I did, actually, I think it looks better, looks clearer. But
and because
not that they were like bad before, but it just there's a setting in there. Yeah, because once it is, I guess, processing the video, it processes it at a higher frame rate. So.
Yeah, see, but again, that's different because you're doing pre-recorded content. Right, that's pre-recorded, while then there's live streaming, right? So yeah, it's different, right? So, like I said, I'm sure there's ways to stream at better resolution, but like I said, I remember StreamYard saying that, oh yeah, and when you go into like Q&As or whatever, or FAQs, it would say something like, somebody would ask, oh, can I, do I need like a 1080 or higher camera? And their answer was like, oh, it'll still work, whatever. But like it's just live stream the broadcast in 720. So it won't help you. That's kind of what I remember them saying, Yeah. So my camera's 1080, but I still believe it streams in 720. So whatever. I don't know. It is what it is. So numbers rising and viewers tonight. Let's get going with the show. And of course, Tommy.
Tommy.
You own us. We got to listen to what you're saying. So, okay. So yeah, let's get on with it, everyone. Of course, we are here tonight to chat about OAX and basically how you guys individually thought it went for you. Uniquely, wanting to hear your experiences individually, of course. Last week, of course, we talked a lot about it, but we made a lot of suppositions based on the fact that barely anybody who had attended was back from the show yet, obviously. And very few people during that weekend had actually been on social media telling people how it was or posting pictures. Very surprised at how few people were doing that. So that's why I figured, okay, a week later, everybody will be back, and hopefully a handful of guys will be willing to come on. And all you three gents were nice enough to do so. So I thought maybe we could just start with something simple, which is essentially to sort of go in a roundtable fashion, since this is an episode of Roundtable anyways, and start off perhaps giving basic feedback, just basic without getting too much detail. And then I'd like to sort of ask you guys after that, we'll do another sort of roundtable fashion and go with what was your favorite part? If you had to choose any one thing, what was your favorite? But right now, if you don't mind, Jason, maybe going clockwise. I believe you're also the newest, the least service time in the hobby. So I figure why not? We'll go with you, and just a quick overview of overall how your experience went.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I was probably a little overwhelmed. I mean, when you walk in the room, well, part of my problem was I came down there with a budget, and I had blown my budget within the first 20 minutes of being there. I had already
really?
Yeah, I met I met up with Jim Warden, and I kind of did a deal with him, and then I had looked at Wolvie Fan's website of art that he was bringing, and then I went kind of over to his table and bought a piece from him, and so my budget was severely injured up front. So the rest of the time I was trying hard not to tempt myself, because I knew my wife was going to be checking in and making sure I was staying on task. but I thought the room was laid out great. It made it really easy to quickly look around, decide where you want to go. If there was a place that, maybe there was a line for somebody, so you decide, okay, I'll go there, I'll check back in an hour and I'll go over here. Quickly could find people in the room if you were looking for a particular person. That was great. I think the ratio of attendees to artists was fantastic, because you could walk up and have a conversation and you didn't feel like 30 people were waiting in line behind you to, why is this guy taking so long, kind of a thing. So I really thought it was a well done show. I mean, it's their first year doing it, so I'm sure they'll change some stuff, but from my perspective, it was great. And probably the best thing of all of it was just being able to meet people and talk to people, and sit out at the bar and somebody else sits down next to you and you say, hey, who are you and where are you from, and you just start up a conversation and you all have something in common. It was great. And to put faces with the names of everybody I've been seeing in the chats for the last couple of years, that was a lot of fun. Got to meet Carl and Heidjer in person, and I really enjoyed that.
That's awesome. And that's as you've heard me say many times here on my channel, for me anyways, that's all I kind of really care about anymore, is just kind of the people, more than looking for my next piece of art, so it's nice when people who don't typically travel to shows, or at least not many shows, when they end up finally taking that leap and they find out, oh yeah, it was so fun, and you hear them like, oh, I met so and so and so and so that I know from this channel or that channel, right? And then it's suddenly it's cool, right? Because you're suddenly realizing, like, yeah, it's so weird to kind of put faces to the names and actually speak to them face to face as human beings, not just a typewritten name on a screen kind of thing, right? So it's good, really cool. Before we go to you, Heidjer, let me just quickly say, Kenneth, congratulations. Really happy to hear about your successful operation. So that was very scary. I'm sure it had to be terrifying for you. But it looks like you got 2 stents put in. Yeah, man, 2 weeks or more to get better. Gee, that's nothing. So really, honestly, take it easy, my friend. Take it easy.
Catch up on some shows, some movies.
That's it. Catch up.
Get well soon, Ken.
Yeah, and just relax. Take it easy, my friend. All right. Good to have you. Yeah. So, Heidjer, want to do the honors and do the same kind of feedback for us?
Sure. So I think a lot of folks, well, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I came in with absolutely no goal whatsoever. I kind of did it. I was down in Miami for some family stuff, and decided stopping in Orlando wouldn't be a big burden. So I came in on Friday, and I actually left Sunday morning. So I only did 1 day full.
Oh, okay.
But it was kind of funny. It's I have not done a lot of cons, especially the last few years, and going back now to the regular, if you go to like a Galaxy Con or Fan Expo, if you don't get to the coast and stuff like that. As Allison Sohn said, it's kind of nice not to be run over for people beating their way to the Funko Pops. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of, there was 2 things that immediately struck me even on Friday night. First of all, that you all know why you were there, and it's a very weird, I don't want to say weird is not the right word, feeling, but you can go up to somebody and go, hey, what do you collect? Oh, you collect Batman. And oh, why do you collect Batman? And you just immediately can start talking to them, whether or not you've met them, because you kind of all have this bond. And it's not awkward at all, and you just felt comfortable going up. And even though there's some people that have known each other for a really long time, there wasn't that barrier. And then the second part, sitting at dinner, I look across the table, there's Jason. I'm like, I know you.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So, and it's it was very easy to chat with everybody. It was I had the opportunity to chat with Kazra, and he said, well, we wanted to make this the collectors are the focus here, and it was true. And it was really nice just to and that said, the dealers were pretty much the last people I was kind of looking at. I met the folks that were attending. I had fun with the artists, and then the dealers went around as well. Even took some time going through a very well-known overpriced art dealer, but just fun, just looking through the stuff, because I wasn't looking to buy anything, and it was cool. It was nice.
Awesome. Okay, very cool. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And I guess last but not least, my friend Carl.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback on what these guys are saying, it's the same thing. It was just a great, I had decided, I thought about going, and then once Dan Jurgens was announced as like the guest, I was like, all right, well, I got to make this happen. So I kind of made use of it. Yeah, I was like, had to make it happen. So,
sure.
But I looked at it as an opportunity. I have some friends. I used to live down in Orlando, but I have some friends who live still in Florida. So I went out a few days early and visited with them to kind of make use of the trip. So I did that, and then went to the show. And yeah, the show, it was just super relaxed and laid back, and that's what I would want in a show. I don't think I know personally. I didn't make use of meeting a lot of new people. I mean, I met new people, like I talked with Jason. But I have, friends that I've had for years in the hobby that I just, never really get to catch up with. I've seen a couple of like Baltimore, but that to me was, I spent a lot of time just with friends that I knew but didn't know. You know what I mean? Like I just not had hung out with person. So I know I didn't make use of making more connections than I should have. I feel like I scratched the surface of people that I would have good conversations with. But yeah, the show itself, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it more, but it was just, I had a great time. I mean, it was laid back and cool. And
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right. Now, if we can get a little bit more into the nitty gritty, and actually before we do though, I did want to highlight this comment from our friend Michael, aka Maki Poo. What would you guys, the three of you, say now that you've having been there only once, but just like everybody else, only been there once? Do you feel you need, in other words, can it be done in one day? In your own personal opinions, would you have been fine if it was only a day, or would you want it to be 2 days, or even eventually 3 days?
I think it would depend on what your purpose is. I would plan on going back for the whole thing again, just to be amongst collectors and the social aspect and just that part of it. So I'll go back even if I'm not buying all 3 days, just to hang out. But I think you could do it easily in a day if you have a very targeted thing. If there's either an artist you want to see or a particular category of art you're looking for, you could get in that room, hit the dealers that you think are going to have that, hit the artists that you think have what you're looking for, boom, boom, and get out, I think, in a day if you really wanted to.
Right. Okay. And what about Carl? What do you say to that?
Likewise. Yeah. I mean, you could, it's say, I'll put it this way. When I go to like a normal convention, any Comic-Con, I kind of want to do it in one day. I don't really want to go more than 1 day, and I don't feel like I really miss out. Like
me.
Like Baltimore.
You're like
A lot of times
that's how I feel.
Yeah, I can.
In and out.
Yeah, well, because for those cons, Baltimore is great with the guest list that they usually have. But there's usually 1 or 2 things that I really want to do. I go and I do that, and that's that. But this show is one that you could do it in a day, but I think you would get much more out of it. And me personally, I would want to do it all 3 days again, just because it was that kind of relaxed atmosphere. So it's you want to go. You don't have to go the whole time, but you want to be there the whole time. So
yeah. Right. I get that. And how about you, Heidjer?
Well, I did it in 1 day, and it's kind of funny as everybody was showing their quote unquote hauls. I was like, oh, I missed it. How did I miss that? I spent all day. How did I miss that? Seeing, talking to somebody, either seeing somebody. And the one thing, whenever you do a first of kind, there's things obviously can be improved on, and it's very easy to criticize. The one thing that I kind of wish that I wasn't going to be able to take advantage of it because I was coming from somewhere else. I was not going to schlep my portfolio through God knows how many airports. But I didn't take advantage of it, and I saw Tom mentioned it, number one Marvel fan, that the collector's corner. That the opportunity to kind of share your collection or what you're trading with other folks. There was a space made for it. It was in a separate place, and again, I had nothing to do anyway. But that's somewhere where I think there is an opportunity to put a second day in and deepen the collecting network. Even if you're not selling, just to showing your stuff and the appreciation of it. It's right. And that's as much my fault for not prepping for it and doing it kind of half-assed. for lack of a better word.
In some ways, though, like, because I agree that that area was not utilized, the collector's corner, because it was like you walk in the show, and that was the from the lobby into the main floor, and then through the ballroom was another set of, like, conference rooms, and then another section of the ballroom, which was where the auction was, and then they had tables set up for the collector's corner. But it was out of the way. But in some ways, the lobby and the courtyard, that just became the collector's corner, because you see just tables with portfolios open, and so it kind of served that purpose. But that was an area that I don't think.
And again, this is something, and again, it's really easy to armchair quarterback, and I don't mean to do that on this, but again, you do have a lot of Disney and Universal tourists stomping through there as well. So even though we kind of took over the lobby a little bit, it's just something that, again, thinking back now, it can be fun to do that, because you did see some collectors go up to dealers and say, "Hey, do you want to buy that?" And you kind of go, "I'd buy that,"
I could probably give you a better.
It can be done one day, but I think it's something, again, somebody mentioned in the chat that it was quiet. I mean, not definitely quiet, but I mean, it was
comfortably quiet.
Yeah, it was comfortable. You could walk around. If there was a line to see. The one thing I really want to do is fanboy a little bit with Michael Allred and talk to him about his the one really esoteric thing he did called Art Ops for Vertigo, and there was a quiet time. Then you go see him in his wife and chat with him. That was really nice.
Okay.
Yeah, and in watching some of the other videos that have been posted of people who attended and what they saw and stuff like that, when I'm watching the videos, I'm like, holy shit, I missed that folio, I missed that table. I didn't see enough of that artist. So definitely you could entertain yourself easily for 3 days. You may not be buying all 3 days, but you could easily entertain yourself.
Honestly, the prices, you would not be buying all 3 days, I'm sure.
No, but I agree. I mean, so when you say you could do it in a day, you could, if that's what you wanted to do. But you could spend all 3 days, just looking at more art. I mean, because I agree. Like I was there for the weekend, and I know there was plenty of stuff that I didn't look at. Some of that was by design, because the more you look at, the more you're tempted. So maybe it's better to not look at everything. So
that's true. All right, let's take a look at what some of our friends in the chat have to say about the same question. So first, we got the CW. I'm not going to call you by what I usually call you through email, because I don't remember if you want me to. So CW says, and good evening, by the way. Hi. I was glad to have a second day. I slept on a decision, a buying decision, I guess you mean, and woke up thinking about a piece and went down that morning and got it. Okay, yeah, so that certainly makes a lot of sense, right? It gives you a little bit more time to think if you can't make a decision on that day, and if you know you're only there on that one day, I could see how when you're struggling on a decision and oh shit, I got to get to the airport because my flight's leaving in a couple of hours or whatever, then you're like, oh man, I don't know what to do, So yeah, so if you plan to stay overnight and till the next day, then that for that reason it definitely helps. Murdoch says any convention is a day con if you just want to make it one. It's a good point, absolutely. And Scotty Wingo says my schedule only allowed Friday, Saturday, and I felt like I missed maybe half the art I wanted to flip through and a big chunk of people I wanted to see. There's so much art that it was overwhelming. Yeah, that's a word that I've heard quite a bit, the overwhelming factor of it. So I understand. So, Scott is obviously more on the side of, probably better if you want to really take it all in, stay for the duration, I guess, And
it's worth it. It's fun. So
and it can be therapeutic. That way you don't go like crazy buying everything in Heritage.
Right.
Like, okay, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Well, look, Alberto's saying, I only did Friday night and Saturday, and I wish I had stayed around on Sunday to catch up with more people and artists. So yeah, that's a good point to make as well. Jason says I was there a day early and still don't think I scratched the tip of the iceberg. So there's another vote for stay the duration kind of thing, right? So okay. So I think we've kind of pretty much assessed. I think for most people, I think it's kind of unanimous that if you can stay longer, probably better off to stay longer. I think that's a fair statement, right?
I think so. I mean, I think once the show kind of ended at the end of the day, that you could go to the bar. There was a bar that's just walking distance from the hotel where I think a lot of people went, and you could just go there, hang out, have a beer, have a burger, and just keep talking and chatting and trading stories. And yeah.
And Rick says, I heard that Gerhard sold out.
So I had I went over to Gerhard and I saw stuff, and it's kind of funny. He's first of all, he's a super nice guy. He's very humble, and he was just sort of like, there was a line. I've never had a line before. He was just like, I sold so much stuff, and he and his wife are so nice, and just were absolutely floored by the attention they got from the collectors. So I mean that's great.
Who was floored?
Oh,
okay. Interesting though that last comment, because for no other reason than I had heard that he had made some appearances like in the last year at some other Comic Cons, and that he was also swamped there. So I figured.
But I mean, I think it's again, it's a focus issue. I met Howard Chaykin this summer at a GalaxyCon here in Austin, and the guy in front of me was getting his Darth Vader helmet signed. And, and then there was somebody who wanted, their books signed and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that. But if it's just really about the art, it's a little different.
Okay. No, go ahead, Carl. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah. So there weren't a lot of lines, but when there was a line, you were with people that you could just talk to. And it wasn't somebody that was there with, a stack of 50 comics trying to get their whole run of something signed, or,
right.
Funko Pops or whatever. I mean, it was, even if it was somebody that collected something you don't collect, you're still, you're kindred spirits in that way, because you're collecting the same type of stuff, same comic art. So the conversations the whole weekend were great. So here's a big plus.
Here's the comment again, and it's who I thought it was. It was Tommy saying he loved that the room was quiet, seeing videos of MegaCon, and you couldn't hear anyone talk. Well, of course, it's like a million times bigger. But do you three guys on the panel here with me, do you agree? Is that a fair assessment? Did it feel like the show was quiet just because of the small size of it?
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, quiet. I mean, there's a buzz. There's people talking, interacting. It's not like it's not a library,
right?
But I mean, it was really pleasant. It was the best way to put it.
You can have
it was not
sensory
overload, and if you wanted to, you could have yelled across a room if you saw somebody and said, "I've got your piece. I found your piece." You could have done that if you wanted to, and they would have heard you. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It isn't the hustle and bustle of one of the big shows where you've got concrete floors and you got all sorts of other stuff going on, and music playing in this corner, and anime stuff in that corner. It was nice.
Yeah.
If this wasn't concrete floors, what are they?
It was all carpeted.
It's like a hotel ballroom.
Yeah.
Plush like carpeting.
Yeah, so it muffled any sound. It was nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was it on because I don't care about the sound. I care about the feet. My feet kill 1 hour into any convention.
Not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
No.
Okay. Yeah, because these conventions, it's all concrete, like you say, and it just my feet kill. Like I said, after an hour, they're hurting. It's like what? Oh, and then
it wasn't it's not a huge show, so it's easy to quickly, if you're tired, you go back to your room or you go have a seat. There was different places to sit down. It was easy. It was easy to take a break if you wanted a break. Yeah,
CW says pleasantly quiet. So
I mean, it was definitely active, and there was like I said, there was a buzz about the show, but it was
and this is a great comment from Jeff, right? Hey Jeff, by the way, you could converse at reasonably normal levels all weekend long. It was so nice to be able to just talk and not shout. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Such a great point.
And it's also it sounds weird, but it's also the ceilings. If you're in a con, and like Kozra said, the venue, because the carpet and the sound. This is a hotel, ballroom. It's not a convention center. In a convention center, I mean, you got a lot of echo going. You got no padding going on the top of the sound or on your feet below. This is just pleasant, nice,
cool, very cool. So Kazra is Kazra, by the way. Lovely to see you, and thanks for dropping in. Says, I picked that venue because of the carpet and sound. I'm so old I can't be in large cons for more than 1 to 2 hours. The best space I'd ever been in for sound. So awesome. That's good. It looks like everybody's kind of like feeling it was a positive move you did there. You made there, Cosmo.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. What's up, James? Evening, guys.
I hate to say it also. I mean, I don't, this is not to be snooty, but I think the collectors for the most part, and I mean, I've taken my kids to cons and stuff like that. The art collectors are maybe a little bit more thoughtful. So they want the quiet. They want to think about a piece. They want to talk about it. I had a nice conversation with George Pratt about his technique and stuff like. It's a different type of
vibe, right?
You have when you kind of go into a con.
Yeah. James wants us to know it was a great experience for him. Nobody asked you, James. Just joking. You're not on the panel, James. No, just joking. But no, that's awesome. Like, everybody, it's like I was saying earlier to these gentlemen here with me in the studio privately before we went on and began the stream, that it's essentially, from what we could tell, it's a universally positive feedback. So yeah, it's not surprising that you would have enjoyed it. So good to hear it. And I also heard, James, I apologize. I don't remember. I speak to so many people on any given week. I don't remember who told me. Somebody had mentioned that you went there with your wife. Is that the case? Because that's interesting. Yeah, it's most people don't usually go to the cons with their spouses. So
there were a lot of spouses there, I think, and I had a wonderful conversation with Jeff Isherwood's wife, who's from Nova Scotia, and she's a gem. She's very nice.
Good. Well, he's a really nice fellow. So yeah. So that's nice to hear too. Any mobility scooters for Ruben's sore feet to rent? I doubt
I'm sure they could accommodate you if you needed it.
They were wide aisles, so if you need to scoot around.
Into Orlando.
Yeah, but Cosmo's good, but I don't think he's that good to have thought about that. He wouldn't have set him up to have them available for me if I wanted one.
Just go over to Universal and drive one across the street into the hotel.
See, the thing about those things is, like, even if my feet weren't hurting, I'd be very tempted to get into them just to scoot around because it's so awesome. Right? Yeah, but you don't want to have too many of those around because a bunch of immature art collectors, we'd all be jumping onto them and just doing
races and
racing and what do you call it? Smash up derbies and stuff.
We're all kids at some level. So.
Exactly. So there's a comment here. I'm just curious. Jason says the Cubert. I guess Andy. I'm assuming Andy.
Adam.
Okay, yep. Adam Cubert. Meet and greet was awesome. Hope they do more stuff like that next year. I guess Kazra can chime in about that. Did either of you guys attend by any chance?
I did the Cubert meet and greet, and it was cool. It was there's so much to talk about. They have this gallery. They have a lot of Adam's art. Wolvie Fan had brought some of his pieces that he had, and Adam brought some pieces that he had, and so there was lots to talk about. And honestly, he's a guy with such a history that could have gone on for hours. So we scratched the surface on a few things, but yeah, I could sit there and listen to him talk about stuff for a long time. That was fun. I enjoyed it. That's
pretty good. Heidjer, I don't know if you heard. Did you by any chance attend the panels, particularly the
No. Okay. I was pretty wrecked when I got there, and I kind of tapped out on Saturday night as well. Just so I just went kind of self-guided tour.
Okay.
Not to jump ahead, but Marcus just asked, while we're talking about this, Marcus asked if there was an extra fee for the Cubert thing.
Oh.
So it was when Bill was announcing pre-show commission options. That was one of the ones that was out there. And so for the price of it, it was you got his Adam Cubert Marvel art book that was recently released. He signed that. He did a little sketch. He does kind of card art sketches, but the paper he works on is bigger, so he kind of goes beyond the card art dimensions. And then if you wanted something else signed, he would do some additional autographs for you. And then it was just time to just sit there and chat with him.
That's cool.
Yeah. And he brought some art that is not yet, he can't yet officially tell you about, but it was kind of neat to see a work in progress, and so that was kind of cool too.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Cool.
Marcus loves shit and talking about shit, so I just have to say he wants to know, how were the bathrooms? Would it be relaxing enough of an atmosphere for me?
They were very clean and very quiet.
Nice.
Go to your room, man. Come on.
Yeah,
that's true.
There you go, Marcus. Now you know, man. That's so funny. Tommy says, must say, Kazra was awesome talking with, had a great vision for the show. Excellent. What else we got? There we go. James confirms, went there with his wife, she had a great time, which is really important. Let us know, though, does she know anything or care anything about comics and art and stuff? Because there was a time when I used to take Vivian with me to cons back when I did travel to cons pretty regularly. And that was mostly, though, because I get homesick. Like I just don't like being out alone at a con for 3 days away from her. So I wanted her. This was a cool way to sort of for us to just be able to stay together, and then I don't get as homesick. But she's not into comics at all, so it's it's a little different. But she's easygoing, so it was always like, okay, it's not like she was like, oh, when are we gonna go home? She always kind of still enjoyed just sort of being with me and walking around and seeing the sights or whatever,
Well, I mean, again, not tooting our own horns, but I think if you've gotten into this, you're probably a little bit beyond just the average fanboy. So if you bring a spouse along, people are willing to talk about lots of different stuff,
Right.
outside of art as well. So I think if a spouse comes along, you go to dinner, it's usually not like not a weird chat with just art or so forth. It goes all over the place.
Yeah. Tommy, I just want to say one thing about this suggestion that, we need to get something for the watch to do together. Look.
No.
I just, okay, hold on, Heidjer.
Terrible idea.
Hold on, Heidjer.
Do not need your notes.
What I've learned actually, and I say this in all seriousness, I know you guys are going to make jokes. I will say this in all seriousness. Just because you're a woman and there's a bunch of women who happen to be wives of collectors, it doesn't automatically mean that, oh wow, you're gonna have a great time together. Like it's like the guys, right? There's different personalities, right? It doesn't mean you're gonna have a great time just because you're shoved into a room together and whatever. So it doesn't necessarily mean that's a good idea. That's all I'm saying. Some may like it, some may not, whatever, But I think it's cool that there were, as you said, Heidjer, that there were. You said quite a few you saw.
Yeah.
Off your head, even though I'm sure you didn't bother to count, would you hazard a guess as to how many you think you saw?
No, I wasn't paying that much attention, but I just noticed it more amongst the artists than anything else, and they were just there to support. And I don't know. I don't have to say. I think I shouldn't speak for the artists, but it wasn't uncomfortable for the spouses to be there. Everybody was respectful and nice. It's not anything weird or loud or whatever. It's sort of again, this is one of some of those weird conversations. I had a very long conversation with Jeff Isherwood and his wife about the Canadian health system.
Oh, okay.
Go figure,
Yeah, for sure. Wanted to ask on Dino's behalf, if I could, real quick. Was there a food court or vendors?
Okay, so this is my pet peeve here, and what was driven home, and this is not Bill's fault, Cosner's fault, or so forth. Orlando is a convention town, and they will price you for every little thing, and so it's sort of a self-contained venue, and it's expensive. There was a huge line of Starbucks with I remember on Sunday morning I went to get a coffee. There were 20 preteen girls getting God knows what complicated coffees in the Starbucks line. I'm like, I just want a coffee, and it was that can get a little bit, and they're all going to the parks and stuff like that. So it's expensive. It's it is the moneymaker, for the hotel. There were some good food options close by though, but it's there was people have mentioned Miller's, which I think was the hangout, the ale house. There was a Korean barbecue, a Japanese place, a bunch of places within walking distance. So it was very doable.
Yeah, there was.
I'll add this. So sorry.
No, go for it, Carl.
So when you go to a convention, I hardly ever eat anything when I go to a regular convention because like it's expensive and it's garbage. Like it's just not good. So like even in this hotel, I mean, you're paying more, but you know, it was decent, like what I had for lunch. So you just kind of like chalk it up for that's Orlando. That's what you're gonna, you know.
Yeah, I get it.
Comes with the territory, but it was better than if you would get it at a regular convention. So
right. But you all would you say that maybe it's still something that you would hope could be, you know, improved in some way, that maybe you have an even easier access to some food so that you don't have to go out, you know, out of the place and just to, you know, go to this Miller's or whatever it was called.
When you're talking these numbers, you're going to be stuck with it. You know, in terms of the attendees, you know, that is, you know, I think the hotel probably did the food on Friday night for the dinner, which was quite good. There was absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, it's just it's a hotel. You know, that's what it is.
Yeah.
If you're going outside of that.
Yeah. Well, Mikhail says that he was a big fan of Miller's Ale House. So there you go. Okay. I'm sure a lot of people probably ended up there, you know. To answer your question, Mikhail, it's not really up to me. That's up to Mike, honestly. He hasn't done any American shows since he moved back home to England. So yeah, I don't know. And I heard him on I saw him talking to somebody, I think it was on Facebook, somebody asking about an American show, and I think he said that right now he's nothing booked for this year at American shows because he's still busy just doing his thing over there in Europe and in the UK. And then I'd have a nice table and seat. Yeah, exactly. Well, no, you know what's funny, Mikhail, is that, and I've told a few of my friends who actually went there and took what do you call it? The collector booth? What do you call it? The collector booth? Is that what they're called? Collector booths?
Yeah, there's a kind of an area of tables for collectors who wanted to sell, and
yes,
so they had collector tables. Yep.
Oh, collector table. Okay, yeah. And I was telling people, like, if I were to do that, like, that's the smartest thing to do. Like, I would take a collector, like, even if I didn't really have anything to sell, I'd maybe bring or try to bring a few pieces, or tell somebody I know who's going to be there, hey, bring some pieces if you want, sell at my table, just to have a place, like a base of operations to go back to every time and maybe talk, do wheeling and dealing or whatever, you know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they'd want collectors to do that, but I think as long as you have something for sale at those tables, I think it'd be okay. I don't know. But let's see, Mikhail, I don't know in the future.
And a lot of them are in the chat, and so they can tell you. But I think they were using it as a base. They would be there for a while selling their art, but they'd get up, walk around, check out the floor, and yeah, smart idea.
And I just wanted to respond to like Kazra that's saying that he had included about 30 local restaurants, and there was actually went on Saturday and went out and got a burger at a Colombian joint, which was actually quite good. But you know, in terms of and somebody else, it's still better than what you would get actually like in a convention hall. You know, it's if you ever go to a hotel, it's a hotel. You know, that's just what you're gonna be stuck with.
And I took it as, you know, for lunches, I didn't want to go too far. I mean, and you could. I mean, there's stuff around. I'd rather just pay for an expensive, you know, club sandwich and just go right back into it. You know, so
you're
just
not
sit down in the courtyard.
Orlando for this.
Yeah, so you know, I thought it was as it wasn't a surprise at all. So, and in dinners, I mean, you could, you know, the VIP. So Friday night you had the VIP dinner. Saturday I had the, you know, pizza party with the auction. So conceivably, you didn't have to go anywhere if you didn't want, you know, to go for a dinner or anything like that. I mean, obviously, you know, people did, but you didn't have to if you.
Yeah.
No, I think it was well done, and my point was just you know, I go to a lot of actually conventions for work and stuff like that, and you kind of go, oh, breakfast, $30. This is like this is about it. and that's whenever you go on travel in the hotel.
Yeah,
I never once during the show looked around and said, "Damn it, there's no Michelin star restaurant around here."
I'm out of here.
Yeah,
exactly. Like a lot of us, I think, are sort of regular sort of type folk who would be happy enough to, okay, you know, whatever. I don't got time. I don't even necessarily want to go to a sit down, get served type restaurant. Let me just go get a quick burger and fry, whatever. The problem for me, I find in the past, is that like it's like, oh, I'd rather not even leave the con. So let me see what you get here. And sure, at the con, you might have the bigger cons, some burger and fries, but they're so horrifically awful, right? That you're like, not only are they awful, but they're like $20 for that burger and another few dollars for the fry. And it's like, okay, if I have to get ripped off, that's already one thing. It's bad enough I have to eat that shit. But like when the quality of the food, like how hard is it to get a just regular patty of beef? Like some of these burgers, you wonder, what is it made of? It's just horrific, So that just makes it worse. The fact that it's ridiculously overpriced and sucks,
Well, the other thought process, I was coming back from my very good burger and kind of going, I'm looking at my hands, kind of go, okay, I really have to go scrub my hands out because if I want to touch any other art, I can't go in with burger hands.
Right.
That's just not going to happen. That's just wrong.
Yeah, that's funny. I did want to go backwards because I didn't want to forget. And Marcus had asked, was there an extra fee and what did you get for it? But it was a while ago. That was like 10 minutes ago. So I'm not sure what he was referring to.
He was talking about the cube. That's why I jumped ahead. I read that while we were talking about the cube. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I knew I wouldn't make sense 15 minutes later.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay. Let's see what else. So there's another vote for Miller's Ale House was the unofficial gathering place. Okay. Like I assume that was like the closest one, the closest kind of place to get something.
Walking distance and pretty good bar food,
Yeah.
Oh, I see that French bakery. I see that from Cosro. I missed that one. Dang.
Yeah, now you tell us, Cosro. I would have liked to know about the French bakery.
I'm glad I didn't.
What's up, Nikki V? I did your promo at the beginning of the show. All right, thank you.
And
I didn't want to forget.
Good.
And okay, so Kazra was telling us that food's tightly controlled by the venue. Biggest pain in the ass of doing it there. Yeah, that's one of those things.
They have that. It's part of the contract. They have that's set by the hotel and
Yeah.
Like the biggest show near me is C2E2 in Chicago, and honestly, there's no food at that show that I want to eat. If I eat it, I'm really hungry. Yes, it's Chicago, and you can go to any other number of restaurants in town, but then you got to leave the show for a while. And I would much rather do OAX's food options any old day before I want to do C2E2's food options.
Jason, you bring up a good point as well, because again, and this is a question maybe of a general of an art-oriented show. If you go to a large show, whether it's Heroes Con or I've not been to San Diego, but I've been to the New York Comic Con, stuff like that, it's a bit of a hassle getting in and out. It's a long way to get to where you go. This is more manageable. So if you kind of want to just take a break, go upstairs, answer a few phone calls, do a little work, whatever it was, just left. And you went back in. No big deal. And that's kind of a nice thing.
It was very nice. Yep.
What's up, Gil? Yeah, I mean, look at. I just put up CW's comment. The hotel breakfast was good. Other than that, I got some snacks at the Walgreens next door. But that's the thing. It's like I don't want to survive for a weekend convention just on snacks. When I was like 23, 25, fine, whatever, right? Like your body can take that, but like
that means that CW was having a really good con.
Exactly.
I think the hotel breakfast was really good. It was a buffet. Well, you could order off the menu, or it was a buffet, and you load up, and I was pretty full by the end of that because I still eat breakfast like I'm a 20-year-old, and then I was good for a long time before I had to eat again.
I'm like the opposite. I usually just got up and had a coffee, and then I was like, I'm good till lunch. So I didn't really have.
That's funny. Look with good evening, Karen. Lovely to see you. She said, I have to find something for my husband to do when I start going to art cons.
Is there a husband's meetup at the con?
Exactly. That's so funny.
Jason D'Ambrosio points out, it was really nice. Like if you bought something, or if you wanted to come down and you didn't want to bring your folio at first until if you were going to buy something, but it was so easy to go back and forth and unload stuff or get stuff again, and whatever you had to change up. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you could travel light, and that was great.
And I just want to keep this highlighted because Nick says that the burgers at the hotel were good, pricey, but hey, compared to the cost of the art. Yeah,
it's funny. Like we talk about, the food's so expensive, but we're in there spending so much money on, it's like
exactly.
One feeds the soul, the other feeds the stomach. You know,
it's all relative.
It's all relative. It's ironic, right? It's ironic, and of course that's true, but it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah. It's like, look, I've had people where like I used to be on I try to avoid Facebook too much now, right? But I used to be on more often, and I'd be part of these groups that are like art groups for comics, art groups for vintage illustration, whatever, a whole bunch of stuff. And so there'd be times where like somebody would be announcing that, hey, yeah, we're putting together this art book for this artist by from who was a vintage illustrator from the 50s or 60s or whatever. And then I would hear the price, right? And I'd be like, $70. I'm like, for a friggin' book, like, come on, man, $40, $50, fine, but $70. And I get people complaining here. There we go. I get people like calling me out, like, oh, come on, Ruben, you just talked about how you spent this many thousand on that painting and this many thousand on that piece of art. Oh, you can't afford $70 for a book? It's like, whoa. How does what I can afford on paintings or artwork or whatever, what the hell does that have to do with whether I think a book should be worth $70 or $20 or $40? Like, what? So it's like with that kind of frame of mind, this person thinking, oh, because you can afford thousands for art, that means you should never be upset and complain about the cost of any other goods
that cost less.
Yeah. Like, am I wrong or is he wrong? Like, I don't know.
I mean, it's all relative. It's like you're comparing, apples to orange, and when it comes to that, like,
Yeah.
Well, burgers and buffets.
So not really cheap, but I rented a car and found a lot of good food off campus. Well, okay. It was nice to actually explore that side of Orlando. Yeah, well, if you don't mind exploring the city, then that's fine. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's sure. That's fun. Kazra says, I included about 30 local restaurants on the pamphlet. No chains. We'll include an interactive maps next time. Okay, there you go. That should help. And Tommy says, I just feel rushed when wife is with me. I feel she doesn't like standing while I look for a long time. Just how I feel. That's how I feel going to cons. Well, what about leaving her home? I'm curious. Is that not an option? That's kind of weird. If she's making you feel that way, that gives me the impression, Tommy, that she's not really into it. So why does she go? It's kind of.
Tom, if that's the case, your wife did not give that impression to anyone who talked to her. I mean, she was very nice and relaxed at dinner
like she's having a good time.
And all that. So she hides it well if she doesn't like it.
And there was free cookies all day. I'm hearing from Mikhail and Tommy. There was free cookies. Is that true? Did you guys hear about this?
When you checked in, you got a cookie. Maybe the vendors got more cookies.
And I just want to say thank you, Nick. Yes, for reminding everybody. Those paltry numbers were pathetic. I cannot also believe that there's 55 people watching and 22 likes. Seriously, 30 some odd number of you cannot do this to that little thumbs up thing right beneath the screen here. Come on, man. Please.
I'm bringing it down. That's the problem, Ruben. It's just I'm bringing it down. I'm dragging down.
Yeah, I don't know, but seriously, just hit the.
We're not bringing in the numbers.
Frickin' hit the like button, man. It's a little thumbs up icon. What's so hard about that? I mean, you don't have to subscribe, but at least hit the friggin' like. Whatever, man. All right. What else? So let me just check for a few more comments so I can catch up with them. I've fallen behind. CW says I just ate my last hotel cookie yesterday. That's what Team Oreo table was for. No idea what you're talking about.
When you were talking about collectors having a table and having it as a base to kind
of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It was good and easy to talk. Miller's Ale House was great. Easy to eat at places. Don't recommend the pizzas or burgers at the hotel. Okay. It's a great idea. Do it again. We had a collector table and it was nonstop socializing. Yeah. Okay. So you must have said that when I made my comment, Mikhail. Thank you. And so that was good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that's a good idea. I wasn't able to make OAX, but it seemed more driven towards OA collector. Well, yeah, that's the whole point. That's exactly what it was. Sort of a VIP from, I don't know about VIPs. I don't get what that you mean by that. It's specifically for OA collectors because of the fact that a large percentage of OA collectors are no longer comic book collectors as well. So for a lot of us who don't care about comics or collecting of comics anymore, it's just the easiest way to just see what we like without having to walk and find our way through all the riffraff of comics, toys, and all the other stuff that's at a regular convention. Am I right, guys?
Yeah, and I would say the clientele varied. It wasn't just VIPs. Certainly, the heavy hitters in the community, there were some there, and but there were guys there that this was their big show for the year. But they wanted to be there, and they wanted to get some sketches, and they wanted to get some time in front of artists. And I think it appealed to everybody of any income level.
Yeah, if you collect art of any kind, there was something there for you.
Yeah,
Well, and the funny thing is, I don't read comic books regularly anymore, but I've been to a couple of the cons that come through Austin and so forth. There's not a lot of comic books there, and as much as fun as it is with the kids, it's not like you're competing with comic book collectors anymore. It's just generally pop culture cons, which is fine, and that leads people into this and they explore it and so forth. But if you're really looking, if this is your hobby, or even if comics and ancillary is your hobby, this was a good fit, and I didn't only have 10 creators that were going for, and maybe the dealers show up or not, maybe you meet one or two other collectors. It was again, that was the fun part, is just meeting people that are, God help us, thinking like we do.
We're all damaged in the brain the same way.
Exactly.
Okay, because I was, and I have to admit this live in front of everyone, because I was trying to manage all the comments earlier on when we first began talking about the collectors area, the tables for the collectors. I didn't quite catch some of the things that you gentlemen here with me in the studio said. Some of the sort of down aspects, negative aspect of that. I'm sorry. Could you sort of mention what that was? There was an issue with the collector area?
Other than the burgers.
So
not the food.
The collector, I just think it was like underutilized.
Oh, underutilized. Okay, and for what reason?
Yeah.
For what reason again?
It was out of the way. I mean, it was in a separate, like the hotels have kind of separate ballroom areas.
Yeah.
The main show was in one ballroom area, and then through a hallway in the next area was where they had there were chairs set up for the auction, but there were also then tables set up for, and there were people in there. I mean, I kind of would pop in occasionally, and there were people kind of in there, but it just didn't. I just don't think it was utilized. So
yeah,
I think part of that too is I don't think people knew what to expect from this show, or what the format would be, or what the protocol would be, because on Friday or Thursday even there were some people kind of hanging out. They'd have a folio, and Friday you'd see a few more, and they weren't sure where to sit, so some were outside, some were in the lobby, and then it just kind of kept building, and then people were just starting to do that wherever they wanted to.
I think that was happening at the show. It just wasn't happening in the area that was designated for that.
Right.
So.
Right.
You mean the socializing between collectors was not happening at where the collectors had set up their booths?
It was kind of like just, I think it was just happening in either the hotel lobby. There were the seating area out there. There's a courtyard area. There were tables, and so I think those things were still happening, because you'd see people just with portfolios out sharing, but not in the specific area that was designated as the collector's lounge. But it was used. It just wasn't like a robust thing.
Okay, I don't know if you've answered. Sorry, give me a second, guys. I don't know if you've answered already, Kazra, but Maki Pupu wants to know if you've already picked a date for 2025. Let us know in the chat. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I saw Marcus's comment. I don't know if I saw a George Perez Hawaiian T-shirt. Did any of you guys?
I don't think I would have registered.
Yeah.
They're pretty loud, Heidjer.
Well, no, but I mean, I think it's actually a valid point, because this is why you didn't see any social media posts on the weekend. Everybody was just completely engaged, and there was no time kind of going that so forth. You were just engaged. You were talking to people. You were doing so forth. So it just wouldn't have registered.
It's the thing that you typically do when you get a piece or whatever and you share it online. there were so many other people in that room to share it with that kind of like it served the same purpose. Like you just like, oh, like check this out, so you have those conversations in person instead of saying, okay, this was happening. But I was also surprised because at night I would look on social media to see what was posted, and there wasn't. But I think it was because people were so engaged, enjoying the show there.
It's because the average art collector is probably, let's say, 50, which means we didn't grow up with social media. So after you did an event, you took your friends who were at the event and you went and made your own second event. And we didn't have to post and selfie and like it and all that shit.
Right.
Yeah. So it was like the people you would want to share it with were there. So you just had that conversation. So
good night, honey. Didn't know you left. Sorry.
Night, Vivian.
Night, Vivian.
They all say good night to you.
Not this again.
No, she's screaming, bye, good night.
Okay.
All right. They heard. So thanks, Jason, for bringing up. So this is okay. So he clarified something I guess I was confused about. There was a collector paid tables on the floor and a separate collector's lounge for sharing. So I did not know that. I was referring, in fact, to what I knew about was the paid tables. That's what I was talking. And that's why when I said if I went, I would consider getting one of those collector tables. I pay for that, just don't have a base of operations from which to work out of. That's what I was saying.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So are you to clarify? You guys are saying that it's not that was kind of bad. It was the other thing, the other room where
correct.
I would say the collector, it was like Collector Island, I think is what it was called, because it was just like a cube of a couple of different tables, some different collectors. That area was like one of the most active areas on the floor. There's always kind of conversations going on there, so that was very active. So, and I think personally they were like because I meant to kind of hook up with Aranga and just kind of touch base with him, but there were so many people in that area. I was just like, touch base later, and I never did, but that's on me. That's not just because they were having a good time connecting with people, and I kind of wanted to respect that because that's what we're all there to do. So
it was probably one of the busier sections of the room because you had Mikhail, you had Jason D'Ambrosio, you had James Siegel, you had Joseph Melchior was there, Jeff Singh was at that island, Rob Wolvie Fan was there. I mean, it was.
Aranga was there, right?
Aranga was there. It was a lot of the personalities of our hobby that were all kind of hanging out in the same area. So they definitely drew crowds.
The devil has entered the room. Speaking of you.
The one thing is it was again great to get to see people, but I still don't, even with the sub crowd from comic collectors, I don't know what a lot of people collect. Personally, and then associate with somebody that I see. So it's almost like a dating game, and I collect more esoteric things. So being able to figure out, who you can sit down with and say, oh, you got this page and so forth, and just see it. And that may be, again, I don't have a good answer to it, but that'd be nice just to see figure out how to get like-minded collectors that want to maybe trade or sell or so forth. That's I don't know how to do that. So
I think I saw it somewhere, but somebody suggested like if you go to other conferences, sometimes either on a website or if it's like in medicine, there'll be like a College of Chest Physicians. They'll be like, hey, I'm going to go to the national meeting. Meet me at this place, and your friends who are going to go can see that you're attending and where you're going to be. So something like that in the future, where if you are I'm a X-Men collector and I'll be at the bar at 8:00 for anybody who wants to hang out and talk X-Men art, something like that might be a neat way to socialize also.
And maybe that's the theme. You have a DC superhero, you have DC horror, you have X-Men, you have some different tables where people can sit down at. That'd be kind of fun to do. And Dan asks, what kind of esoteric things? I'm right now. I'm really enjoying 80s independent comics. You just don't see that much out there. If it's a subset. It's not tremendously popular, but it's kind of fun.
Okay.
one thing I was going to add, like to kind of go with the collector corner area of not the island, but the the kind of the sharing of
the hangout, not the tables that Jeff is mentioning right here.
Not the paid table. So because I think a lot of us aren't going to kind of like, if we have things that we took to sell or trade or whatever, we're not going to like advertise that and say, hey, I have this. So I don't know if next year there might be a way to kind of maybe do that through CAF, if there's like an OAX marketplace kind of thing to show like, hey, this is what I'm going to bring. And this is what, then you kind of see what people might have.
People were, I remember people were doing that in their CAF galleries anyways.
But like in a way to kind of centralize that, it might be easier to browse just like if there's, I mean, I have no idea how to do it or if it's possible or whatever, but something like that might kind of help facilitate those conversations to start even before the show, so that you can kind of say, hey, if you're going to be there, let's, I don't know, you can kind of trade contact info, and then once you're there at the show, touch base and try to make that happen. Because I think that would kind of open things up as far as the trading and the selling. That was one of the things that they kind of sold as a possibility at the show, which could be.
I just wanted to add about the whole collector area thing. Again, not realizing until now that there was two separate things. First of all, really weird that Jeff is saying there was only 6 tables for collectors. I was like, what's the point? I was imagining like, 20 or so, or I don't know where I got that number from, but kind of arbitrary. But 6, really? What's the?
If I had to guess, the focus, especially for the first year of a show, you would want to focus on the artist, the creator. So you don't want to designate a big area for.
So if you got here, you got the collector. Collectors area right there. That C1 area right there. That was sort of like the paid collectors table.
Wait, which one is it?
This I can't do this backwards. There, C1.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. So those.
But on the backside, you had the auction floor and the collector's lounge, which was in a different place.
Separate room.
It was a separate room, and there were like 20 tables there for people who were wanted to hang out.
Oh, and you can but that's sort of I guess
free form.
You just grab whatever table you want if it's empty, and you sit.
Yeah. That was free form, non-paid, just available to collectors.
Right. I get that. Okay, but you guys were saying that you felt that because it's stationed outside the main room, that probably helped to have people not kind of want to bother, because people tend to want to congregate within the same room. I would think, right? Is that what would you agree to that? That would that had an effect on it being not really well used because it's kind of out? You have to leave the main room, and so people were probably like,
More awareness. I think everybody was so focused on stuff in the main room that it was like, there's another room, and and then you go, this is here, and cohesiveness. That's all. But the galleries were back there where they had the shows of the art from Adam Kubert and Wolvie Fan, and of course Comic Connect. And which were really fun to see. There were some great pieces back there too.
So while we're talking about this, Chuck Arnold just said that there's a CAF Discord and had an OAX channel where they were kind of doing those things, like pre-show, like talking about maybe what they were bringing, which I didn't know. So that'd be awesome. So maybe next year I'll have to be in on that. So
okay,
but it'd be something even on CAF officially, if there's some way to kind of make it much more, because I'm sure this is like a word of mouth kind of thing, and I don't know. So, but yeah, well, it's nice to know that's there.
And Carl, I mean, I think that goes to the whole thing. This is for me, this is always, there are definitely groups that have known each other really well over the years, but there's a lot of collectors that are lone rangers, and have connected over the years. You might know one other person, 2 other people, but getting into that
Jason, like Jason.
Yeah, but
when you, in all fairness, I'm talking about when you first started, but then you become way more sociable, and it's way better, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, this was an interesting experience. At the VIP dinner, there might be like one person that I recognize from an interview or something like that, and you walk up to them and you say hi, and then you realize their group of friends are even bigger collectors or more experienced collectors, and they didn't care that a rookie was walking up to them to say hi. They were just nice, normal people. It was really a really nice experience for a novice collector like me.
I mean, because that's great to hear, because at the end of the day, we're all there. No matter how long we've been in the hobby, we're all there for the same reason. So you're going to have something to talk about. So which is cool. So
yes, we're all there for the Superman art. No.
Yeah. No, it was.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's the greatest thing for me when you talk about Superman art. I was there with Bill Byers, and I was like, there were things that I would have loved to buy, but Bill bought. So I was like, all right, perfect. That's so I was there with Bill. He saved me money. It was great.
Okay. So James is kind of describing it more as like an amateur dealers versus a collector's setting. Okay. So Marcus had asked, and I'm just curious, it's kind of a little bit off topic, but I might as well just ask earlier. He had said, did anybody notice or hear any stories about artists refusing to do sketches for anyone who maybe because they had dealer badges, so they got in line first, kind of any of that shit that usually happens at regular Comic Cons, that kind of thing,
No, in fact, on Sunday there was not every artist was participating, but there was this time period where there would be free sketch cards in your swag bag. You got a blank sketch card if you wanted to go around the room and have somebody do something. What Heidjer's holding up.
Yeah.
And
sorry, what is that?
It's a blank sketch card that came with the swag. That you get a quick free sketch on.
Okay. Oh, is that part of that 90-minute free sketch?
Right.
Oh,
I think, and this was because another part of the show which I thought was interesting was the all of the Marvel card. Like, there's like a whole boom of Marvel card collectors which is kind of like, I think since COVID, because there was like a huge resurgence in like the vintage 90s cards. But there's been a huge boom on like current Marvel cards. So there was a lot of just specific Marvel card art collectors that were there. And I think that card was part of, and again, this is my fault for not really, there was information on the flyer that said, to take that sketch card to, there was a booth that they were I think they were like scanning them in, and they were going to make some type of collection out of them. I didn't go. So if anybody in the chat did talk to them, feel free to fill us in, but I didn't talk to them. But it's cool. I like having that sect of the collectors there.
Right.
I got the impression that if you were a sketch collector, you could walk up to anybody at that show and they would work something out with you or accommodate you, from maybe a small free sketch all the way up to, I want something in my sketchbook, more formal. They just seemed very accommodating.
Yeah, it was fun to watch them work, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed that like during the free sketch event, so they were sketching on like I saw people just like sketchbooks or whatever. So like they were just kind of sketching on whatever you would give them. And I don't know if because I remember.
Hold on. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. So you're saying during that 90-minute free sketch event, you weren't limited to get them on those tiny little swag things?
No.
I
mean, I saw some really amazing free sketches from that period. Yeah, and I going into it, I was kind of like, that's not my. It was towards the end of the day on Sunday. It was right before I had to kind of bail out to catch a flight. But yeah, there were some really, and it was up to the artist to kind of do whatever you wanted. But I also feel like they would just sketch on whatever you put in front of them. So maybe I should have done that more. I just didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was opportunities there to have artists do stuff that I didn't even think about or wasn't used to doing. So, because at a show, at a big con, you walk up to an artist table and you're like, "Would you do? Oh well, maybe I can do one. How about a smaller version? Oh, I won't have time, And so you're just kind of used to that. So now when you walk up to the artists at this show, they're like, "Yeah, sure,"
I'm right there. I'm with the other two. I'm not a sketch person. I didn't even think about it. I actually put the swag just to the side. I kind of want to go meet people, and that's what it was for me. So, but again, everybody's very approachable, and seemed from what I've seen, people got some really nice pieces over the con.
So Mikazra is chiming in, not that I'm jumping ahead, but you saying the sketch cards weren't for the free event. The one thing I found was, again, it was on me. I could have found out more information, but I kind of thought since that card was there that's what that was for, because there was nothing saying that it wasn't, or maybe Heidjer, you have the back. What does the back of the card say? I don't know if it wasn't. That was probably on me.
Artist sketch card. Congratulations, you've been given a limited edition artist sketch card for attending the 2024 Original Art Expo in Orlando, Florida. So
I assumed that was connected, but that's obviously I was wrong.
And from what Cosmo says, that it wasn't that they could have sketched anything. So this was an addition to it, which is nice.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Adam Hughes participated, says Jeff. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I did want to highlight the comment that I had been highlighting for a little while. Didn't want to interrupt you, gentlemen. Casper's comment about the first ever collector's alley tables that we know of, and they cost $75 over the cost of an exhibitor badge. So you pay. I'm not really sure I understand that. I thought being an exhibitor means that you've taken a table, and you've paid for a table. So I'm not really sure what that means. I just want to know, Kazra, what's the complete total cost? Just forget what it costs to get in with your ticket. I'm just saying everybody pays to get in with a ticket. I just want to know, what is it extra for me to take a collector's alley table so I can sell art? That's what I want to know. So if you mean $75 for the table, that seems very, very cheap as hell to me.
I know collectors were getting together and sharing a table too. So that's why you had you had Jason and Mikhail sharing a table. Yeah.
Well, sharing would be a good idea, if only for the fact that, because you're going to want to kind of walk around and visit the show and see everything, right? You don't want to be stuck there at your table, but at the same time, you don't want to have to, if you're paying for a booth that people expect somebody to be at, there's nothing worse than going to booths expecting to look at art and then finding, hey, this guy keeps leaving and he keeps taking his art with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you have a friend that you're sharing with, okay, you maybe take turns. All right, just watch the table while I go and look around, and then we switch or whatever.
I think that was a great way for those the guys that had the collector table. That would be a great way to experience the show. Yeah, because then it's just like you're just there hanging out, that's awesome.
Yeah. Did you guys, Scott asked a while ago, a few minutes ago, did you guys, any of you, win anything at the auction?
I did not.
I did not. Yeah, I was with Bill, and he was going after. He got the Garcia Lopez piece, which was beautiful. So yeah, I didn't get anything.
Heidjer, you nothing?
No, it's not. It wasn't something that I was looking at all. So, but it was fun to participate and watch.
Mm-hmm.
I got into enough trouble elsewhere during the show that I was kind of like, I could sit this one out.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was fun to watch the auction.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you attend the entire thing?
Not the entire thing, because we bailed out probably about maybe like 8 o'clock, about 2 hours into the. I think it was like 6. I think it started at 6. And yeah, I think so. But yeah, after about 2 hours, we went to that comic shop bar thing I told you about in the chat last week.
Oh yeah.
So
you should mention it again for everybody who wasn't here last week. Yeah,
it was awesome.
Listen to this, everyone. If you didn't hear this last week here on this show.
So a buddy of mine, Matt Todd, before we went to the show, he kind of was like scoping out just comic shops in the area, and there was a comic shop called Gods and Monsters about 1.5 miles from the hotel, and I had a rental car, so we decided, hey, we'll go out after the auction. We'll go to this comic shop, but the cool thing about the comic shop was at the back of the comic shop there was a bar called, it was like, I think it was a Vault 5421 or it was a number, it was like Vault something. It was a kind of like a speakeasy vibe. You walk through the comic shop, and at the back of the comic shop there was a guy sitting at a chair checking IDs, give you a bracelet, and you could go into this bar area, which was like right behind the comic shop, and it was like a post-apocalyptic themed bar. So there was like the one corner had like that alien egg with a chest burster crawling up the wall, and then there was like a xenomorph coming down from the ceiling. So it was really cool. So I didn't end up at Miller's Ale House. I ended up at some, speakeasy type comic bar. So, it was awesome. It was really cool. And I talked to Derek Crabb. Like he was down there. He stayed for MegaCon. And after I talked about it in the chat, he ended up going to it to check it out in the time between OAX and MegaCon. So
okay.
It was fun.
You had never mentioned actually last week. And by the way, thank you everybody for tuning in and watching tonight. 60 of you. It's been a while since we had that many live viewers, but please hit the thumbs up button if you don't mind, if you're enjoying what you're watching. You don't need to subscribe. I don't want you to subscribe, but please hit the like if you don't mind. I'd appreciate it. You didn't mention to us, Carl, last week, if you partook, if you imbibed when you were shown through the back end of the store.
I mean, I did, but I had a rental, so I was responsible. But yeah, I did.
Don't worry, I didn't want to get you in trouble or anything. I'm just curious if you just walked in and looked and wow, this is really cool, and then walked back out.
Yeah, we sat down and had a fun time. So.
Cool. Thank you, Kazra, for the exact costs for everything. Appreciate it. Yeah, so that's cool. So everybody should look into that. You collectors among you, if you want to.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. It was awesome. And the thing is that it's a kind of a small bar, but it was very cool. So
excellent, Marcus. As you know, that sometimes doesn't work.
I have to say about the auction, kind of what was fun. It was I was standing at the back with number one Marvel fan Tom, and Michael Allred and Allison Sohn and Amanda Connor, and that's just kind of fun. Very, very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did any of you, by any chance, join Jeff in the hot tub as he was drinking with a few friends instead of sitting at the auction? A bunch of man meat sitting in the hot tub. Oh yeah, flipping through art portfolios. Oh, I can't wait for that.
I did not.
Okay, all right. I wonder who was there with you, Jeff. I don't know.
It's like a family there for going to Universal.
Right, and then just Jeff sitting there.
It got weird.
Jeff, you finally tuned in to one of my shows, and you immediately got laughed at. There you go. Hey, that's what typically happens here.
Actually, and I don't know this because it was in it, but we walked past it on the way out from the auction. It has a huge ass hot tub too. It was very big one. Yeah, so it was like a small pool.
Oh wow, that's wild. Michael says, "Hey, Michael, the pizza at the auction was good. Does anybody agree? Did anybody partake of the pizza?"
It was okay. It was hotel pizza.
It kind of falls into all pizza is good.
Right.
Yeah, okay. It was okay.
So much of it's better. It's pizza.
But it was free, right?
It wasn't bad, but you're not going to rave about it either. Let's put it.
I've had far worse pizza, so I was hungry and it worked for me. So
right,
it's fine.
All right, Rickster. What's Rickster talking about? I'm confused, guys. I'm 4 minutes behind. What does this mean? Tour bots? No,
that one I don't know.
Nope. No idea.
Sorry, Rick. You'll have to clarify that if you want to. New York. Okay, Kazra. My friend's wife is the head bartender at the Gods and Monsters bar. What?
We may have talked to her because she said she was. I mean, I don't know if there's a part owner or something. The woman we were talking to, because we were like, "This is amazing! This is a great, just awesome." So,
wow, Jesus, check it out! Wow, it's not a sales show tonight, my friend. Good to see you, though. Lovely to see you. Jason, all pizza. Okay, enough about the pizza. Comic Art Boston, what's up? How are you, sir? Lovely to see you. Thank you for registering your like. It's a lot more than many others here have done tonight. How many are we up to? Does anybody have an updated count? Because I for some reason, it doesn't update for me. It's always I'm down at 12 likes. So any of you see anybody? I see a refresh 41.
Hey, I see 49. Let's
Yeah, okay, good.
Crack that 50.
Let's crack 50, please. Hit the like, hit the thumbs up. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see some more comments so I can catch up. Can you Maki Poopa wants to know, did you guys by any chance know if you could get around with an Uber? Is it easy enough, or is it better in car rent?
I got that for the airport.
Yeah, I mean, Universal's right there, so I guarantee you, I had the rental, so I didn't have to worry about it. But I mean, being where we were, I'm sure it was not a problem.
Yeah, I Ubered from the airport to the hotel. I walked to the City Walk at Universal. That was an easy walk. Other than that, I didn't leave the property.
I had a 25 minute ride back to the airport with Kenny G the entire way.
What?
Yeah,
that was the waiting room for hell, Heidjer.
That was my payment for the weekend.
Oh. Wow. Sorry. Can you clarify? You went and took a cab to the airport with Kenny G?
No, it was an Uber, and he got there, and it was a nice Uber, but Kenny G the entire way.
Oh, okay. The guy was playing Kenny G.
Yeah.
You're not saying Kenny G's doing the Uber ride share because he's like, hey,
Why not? I haven't heard him in ages. He might be doing it.
Please tell me he was playing all the other catalog, not just the hits.
Kenny G has hits.
How would I know?
The deep dive.
Yeah, I hope it was a deep dive of the Kenny G catalog.
I celebrate his entire catalog. Yes.
That's so funny. Yeah, thank you everybody for hitting the 50 like mark. I appreciate it. But there's still 61 of you, so 11 of you have still not hit the thumbs up. Please, if you can do that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Look at that. There's even a sax emoji thing happening there. Thanks, Marcus. Leave it to you to find that. Keep
it saxy. That's right.
He goes digging and he finds things. That's so funny. Tough times for Kenny G, says Marcus. Is it really? I don't know.
I mean, if he's doing the Uber rideshare,
You want to buy a CD? Come on.
Hey, well, I got you.
Yeah, like CJ said, that's what happens. And then they picked up Michael Bolton.
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
That's so funny. Zamfir, master of the pan flute, is greater than Kenny G. Yes. I agree. I'll go with that.
I'll agree with that.
Just for those classic 90s commercials of Zamfir, just for that, I'll go with it. So funny. Okay, Alberto also says, let's talk about the great job that Jeff Wedding did trying to make money to help Zyla. Oh, so Jeff did something with for Zyla at the convention?
I totally forgot Jeff was doing that. And I talked to Jeff a few times, and I totally forgot. Jeff, let me know if there's anything left. I'll send you money.
I think I did hear that he, sold out.
I remember somebody mentioning, Jeff, if you're still there, I'm sure you are, that you sold a bunch of your Fred Hembeck pieces to raise the money, but I didn't realize that it was done as a kind of event of some sort.
He just had because he put them in little like mystery envelopes. So he packed them up, and then you pay. I think it was $30, and then you get a Hembeck, and then the money goes towards.
I see.
Yeah. So it was a very, very cool thing that he did. So
yeah, that's really really cool. Wow, good on you, Jeff. Good on you. Wow.
And there was also a card being passed around for Kavi.
Kavi,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. What did they do? I heard that they a bunch of people signed a card for Kavi.
There was a card, and I think some fundraising as well for him because which is it highlights the community. It was very nice.
That's really awesome, Marcus. I just want you to know, and I guess everybody else will know. I've seen it twice, baby. I love Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance. I love that Irish dance. Love it. Twice I saw it. I love it. I'd see it more if he and his crew were still around, if they weren't already in their 60s. But yeah, so there you go. There's a little secret pleasure of mine. Guilty pleasure. Tom Kadzalowski, Chicago, what up? And oh wow, look at that. Jeff's chiming in. He raised $1,250. Wow.
That's very cool. That's
good
awesome.
On you, Jeff. Good on you. That's really, 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 really awesome. Yeah, raised money for Zyla. That's really, really cool. She's had a really tough time over the last 10 months. So that's really awesome.
That speaks to the type of people that are in the hobby. We're lucky to be in a hobby that there's just a lot of just solid people. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. CW says, I got a card from Jeff, interrupted his dinner to get it from him. Good cause and affordable art to boot. Yeah, no, that's a, you guys still get a piece of art, and he takes all the money and basically gives it away to the better cause. So that's awesome, Jeff. Great to see you do that. Plus, Ian donated a page to the auction that Dan Parsons inked, and that's $300 going to Tyler as well. Wow,
That's very
cool. That's awesome.
That's really, really good. So that's nice. Nick did some fundraising for Kavi. Oh, I see. It was Nick doing it. Oh, wow. Okay, that's really cool. And you typical Cad always says he's leaving, and then 10 minutes later he's still there in the chat. Just before I leave, 10 minutes later. Kudos to you. You're a wonderful person. There you go, Jeff. There you go. That's awesome. Okay. So before this is going so smoothly. Rather than me sort of ask something, I'm curious. You guys, is there anything else because you guys have been having a lot to say without even me prompting you. Anything else that was part of the show that you just want to sort of bring up and talk about that you want to mention?
We kind of touched on it, but just the ability to just talk to an artist and have an actual conversation without somebody behind you waiting to sign, have comics sign or whatever. Just that ability was awesome. Like, I'm obviously a big Dan Jurgens fan, so to kind of just be able to just talk with him, it was great. Like, you flip through, he brought some like decent stuff to the show. In years past, when I've seen him at Baltimore, it's been kind of some nice stuff, but it's a lot of panel pages, maybe not as quite a lot of action. But artists, I think, knowing that the crowd they were coming to see brought solid stuff. Like, I don't think they were afraid like to bring pieces that were a couple $1,000s or whatever, because like that this is the crowd to sell it at. So you got to see some things that they would pull out of their archives for a show like this. So that was really cool, I thought.
Right.
I would agree with that. That's pretty cool.
Carl, let me ask you, and anybody in the chat that wants to chime in. So if you go again, do you go with no plan and just wander and roam, or next time would you go with a plan of, let me talk to this artist first or this rep first? Will you have a page? I'm coming and I'm thinking I want to pick it up while I'm at the show.
So my plan, and I think we talked about this a little bit when I was on the Friday night before the show opened. So my plan was to set up a couple commissions beforehand to hopefully keep me in check as far as to not overspend at the show. The Jurgens piece I got was like the big piece of the show for me, so I set that up prior to the show. I still got into I spent a little more than I had planned on it, but by doing that, it kept me from kind of checking out the dealers, and because they have some nice stuff, but that wasn't what I was necessarily going for. Like, that we have access to the dealers a lot, but there were things that, and I looked a little bit, there were things that I haven't seen on the site before, or various sites, but that wasn't really what my goal was. My goal was just to kind of talk with artists and connect with collectors. So I would probably do something similar, because I still feel like, while the show was really, really fun, and I would want to go back, and I plan on going back, because I'm assuming there's going to be artists there that I'm going to want to see. But that's still where it starts. There has to be an artist that I'm specifically going to see. But because,
No, I was going to say, because for you, clearly, and this is one of the questions I was going to ask later to all of you, right? What would you say for each of you is your main purpose for going? What draws you in more than anything else, right? For you, clearly, it's the artist. You want somebody who you really are into to be there. And that's really an interesting question, too. It's an interesting point to bring up, because of the fact that one of the tricky things about a con, because it's not just you, there's plenty of people like you, where it's the artist selection that will make or break a collector's decision to go or not, right? And the tricky thing about that is you got two sort of frame of minds. On the one hand, at least I would say, well, it would be smart to keep constantly switching it up for variety and bring in as many new or different artists every year. But at the same time, the tricky thing is is that if the artists, and I'm assuming they did, if the artists that were already there, for example, this year, enjoyed it and thought it was worth their time, they're going to want to be there again, right? And there's suddenly, it's like you have to decide as the con promoter and organizer, well, but, you know, do I feel bad like denying these people because they said they loved it and they want to be back and now we're friendly? Can I just say sorry, but I need the space for other artists? Or do you say yes to everybody, but then you're like, oh shit, but now I can't really bring that many more new people because all the same artists, right? And then that becomes a potential problem because the show can get easily and quickly very stale when you see that the artist guest list is basically like 90% the same year on after year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I will say this.
It's a challenge.
If that was the case, and most of the artists, which they're going to bring in other artists. I mean, that's going to happen. And I'm sure there's going to be some conversations that might be difficult. You know, if there are certain artists that really want to come back, and that's a game that I'm glad to not have to play in building the guest list. But if it was the same as it was, anything like it was this year, I'd go back in a heartbeat. And the thing is, being that I have gone and experience the social aspect of being with other collectors, that right. To me, even if the artist list wasn't as what I would want it to be or speaks to my specific interest, I would still be inclined to go just because of the atmosphere. So
right, okay. So more so, if I tell you right now, let's play the hypothetical. I'm just kind of curious. Okay, Kazra announces 2025. Everybody, same exact guest list next year. Oh, but sorry, Dan Jurgens has something he needs to do. He can't make it. Are you going back, you think?
I'd go back. I mean, because there's things that, like, you know, I didn't set up like because I did the big piece with Dan. I didn't do like an all-red piece, or I didn't do, you know, I may try to set something up with Matt Wagner, or, you know, so there are things that I probably would. There are enough artists there that I still enjoy that I would still find somebody. I would want Dan to be there. I mean, and he was one that when talking to him, he really loved the format. He said he really wanted to be a part of it because this is the type of format that he's been wanting to see from a US based show for years. So, I mean, I would imagine that he's going to want to come back. I think, you know, I think he had a good show. So, yeah. But again, that's the, you know, I'll leave that to those that have to make those decisions.
Absolutely.
But Carl, I'll still be inclined to go. Yeah.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. That's good to hear that.
Yeah.
Just quickly asked, but I want to answer the question here from Gil. But Gil, I just want you to know, when you have a chance, Gil, later, just check out the show on Rewind from the start. Within the first 15 minutes, at some point in the first 15 minutes, I put a link in the chat for Carl's channel. He has a brand new a 45-minute video that he put out 4 days ago, where you will see the pieces that he picked up. So yeah.
What I did, I actually have two pieces from Dan, and one was the pre-show commission that I picked up, and the one was the exact type of thing that I was wanting to find from the show. It was a page that I didn't expect to see, but fits in the collection, and like that was, I didn't have huge goals for the show, but that like hit. That was perfect. You know, I found that piece that fits perfectly in the collection, and you know, so glad Dan brought it. But yeah.
Okay. And before I go to Heidjer and Jason, I just want to say to Marcus that I mean, again, it all depends, right? If they felt like, you know, the feedback is such that you know, that room for the collectors, it wasn't really all that well used, whatever. And if it comes down to between, hey, we need more room for more artists, well, get rid of the collector hangout thing. Use that space for more artists if you have to, because collectors will find places to sort of congregate anyways, you know, sort of out in the lobby like they were saying or whatever. So I agree that there's space as it is without having to pay for more new space, if you will, you know. But yeah, go ahead, Heidjer, maybe you want to.
Sure. You know, it's again, so, you know, I started collecting way back in the dark ages, you know, back in the mid 90s. And I've been that solo collector out there. So it's funny that in this meeting, for the first time, I can't do the math, but it was like 30 years. I met Gary Land. I'd never met Gary before. I've known
After all these years,
Mike Lovitz. And you know, the thing is that one of the things early on when I was collecting, you know, and I'm not a big comic historian guy, didn't know the artists, didn't know X-Men, Avengers, and so forth. There's people that have really deep knowledge. You know, finding a place, if you're a new collector, that you can kind of hunker down, even if you buy nothing, that there's these people that have this knowledge and are willing to share it with you. And that in itself, I went in there really not in the mood necessarily, and that sounds weird, to buy anything. I wound up buying one cover from Ben Templesmith, and actually I bought 2 covers from Mike Allred after the fact.
Wow.
But it's I just kind of wanted to go see it, and I'd do it again just for that, and just to chat with people, because you're gonna go, oh, you know, that's cool, and somebody might come up to me one day and say, hey, I hear you collect this, you know, and what one of the things that was really driven home to me talking to folks is that how many collectors that are interested and are anxious to kind of get involved, but kind of been priced out of the market too. You know, and you know, the question is, how as a community can you pull people into this addiction, you know, and that, but that in a way that they can afford and enjoy it and so forth. And I think that that's really, again, this is not about, I shouldn't say it's not about the artist, because that was a big draw of it, but I'm not going there to say, hey, I want to go meet XYZ artist, or see this dealer, because there's other ways to do this. But to get such concentration of collectors and people with the knowledge, I'm still learning stuff every day about this hobby and about the techniques. I'm not an artist, so learning something is always kind of cool about that, and that's what was really enjoyable.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Jason, do you have anything to add to?
Yeah, I mean, if nothing changed about the show, I'd still go back. There will be artists that I didn't really interact with, or things I didn't really see this time around that I would go back and look at. Certainly, you know, like you were pointing out, it's a balance between not being stale and having some growth. I think Kasra in the chat posted.
Yeah. I'm waiting for you all to get your say in, and then I'm going to highlight it. Yeah.
We'll get the answer.
So the selfish part of me, though, is you know, I see Kasra's post, and the selfish part of me was like, I think the show is great as far as like the crowd. The bigger the crowd gets, which I'm happy for them financially to keep the show going, so that it can be there each year. Obviously, there's a size at which the crowd now starts to
the intimacy. Most of the collectors love about this type of show, right? It kind of starts to drift away.
Yeah. So I don't know what that number is, but there's some number.
I would imagine that they're aware of that. You know, that's, you know,
sure.
But
yeah, sure.
But growth is great.
It's a fine balance.
Yeah.
For sure.
The Lake Como show does that too. They limit attendance.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, and maybe that's what it comes to. I mean, have a you know, if you're going to show up, you know, get your tickets early.
There'll be 2 arenas. The artists will have to fight each other for tables, and the attendees will have to fight each other for a badge.
That's an extra fee to watch that.
Right. Yeah. And then there'll be a third crowd that just gets to watch the fights.
Watch it all happen.
Yeah.
So I just want to read it out, just because a lot of people, and I always forget about this, a lot of people listen to the show and as they do other things, and they're not really watching. So I'm just going to read the comment that Kasra put up. He says that the goal is to get 50% new artists next year. So before I read the rest of the comment, I just want to say, Kasra, if you can clear up, would that be 50% of the current ones end up getting rotated? Or are you saying you'd like to keep the same ones from this year if they all wanted to come back, plus you'd add 50% more artists? Because that's a big difference, right? So let us know that. Kasra also says that they plan to have many incredible new galleries, lots of interesting experiences, about 33%, so a third bigger, more space, and hopefully 200 additional attendees per day. So interesting, and I hope you guys pull that off.
I mean, if you think about for those that were there, if you think about that layout, if they during the daytime could somehow utilize where the auction was held, there's a lot more space if it's needed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, and you know, it's hard to tell. Like, I don't have the ability to say like, oh yeah, there's enough room for this many more people, or, you know, obviously, I want the show to be successful because it was a great experience. But I think there is room in that room as it existed for more people to be in there, comfortably, you know, still. So
20.
yeah. But it did, because there really weren't that many lines, like outside of the like the free sketching thing on Sunday, you know, like we went to on Sunday morning. So on Saturday, I got a sketch from Sean Gordon Murphy, and then on Sunday, a buddy of mine was getting one, and I just went back to have a couple hardcover books signed. And there was only like 3 or 4 people that like went right to that table. So like that was nothing, you know, and it was fun to kind of watch him, you know, even though you're waiting in line, you're watching him sketch something, and it's more than a sketch that's more detailed than what he would do at a regular convention. So it's still an experience, even while you're waiting in line, to watch him create a piece that, you know, that's fun. There's a value in that.
I just have to highlight this. So Alberto says, 200 extra guests per day sounds like a lot, right? And I'm sure a lot of you are probably hoping, a lot of people that went probably hoping,
selfishly,
selfishly, that's way too much more, like, you know.
Yeah.
But then he says, but if we have 33% more space and more experiences, it might be okay. See, people are already kind of not so sure about the potential growth, you know. So that's the interesting balance they're going to have to find, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I think
Look
for the show is.
Look what Nick says.
One more, yeah.
One and before it explodes, you know. Yeah, it's all over. So enjoy it next year, and that's it, you know.
But that was said over in the Felix was having a chat before they started, like an hour before this show, and like that Bill popped in there and had said that was a goal to. I've lost my train of thought, like what I was actually going to say. To keep it like a similar size next year before it like would expand beyond that. So I think that's the goal, to kind of
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think it makes sense also because, I mean, this is, I mean, if you look at the hobby as a whole, and it's even hard to call it a hobby anymore, given the prices and stuff like that. And I don't mean to beat on that.
No.
But you know, you don't want it invaded by people who don't care about it as much. You know, it's I mean, you want to have people that are joining it because they kind of, even if they only have 2 pieces, they kind of love it, as opposed to, ooh, let me pick that up and speculate on, flip it, and so forth.
Yeah, but more people in a room are more, you know, potential connections and conversations, and like that is a big part of what, you know. So Dan Jurgens being there was what initially got me to the show, but the experience is what will make sure that I do that. Yeah.
And there may already be 200 collectors out there that are existing collectors that have never been to a show before too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want 20% more cosplay and 10% more Funko Pops.
If I don't see a minimum of 10 Poison Ivies, I'm not coming back to the show.
Right.
I'm sure.
Exactly.
I'm so sure of that. So Kazler is answering my question. So he figures there were 60 this year. He figures at least 30 come back, 30 new ones added. So that's good. That's closer to what I would think is the better way to go. And depending on space and ticket sales, maybe add a few more, right? 10 more, whatever. So that's good. Thank you, Kazra. And what did I want to see?
I just read Alberto's.
That's disturbing, isn't it?
Heidjer, I will go if Alberto dresses as Poison Ivy and they play Kenny G over the
Hey, there's value in that too. That's entertainment, folks.
Like, to open the show, Kenny G starts playing and Alberto walks in as the first person.
but the real Kenny G. We want actually
right.
Go ahead.
All right, guys.
Alberto dressed in Mumra. He got a really kick-ass Thundercat. Beautiful.
Okay, let me
rein it in.
Let me just stop the fucking around for a second. Just because there is one serious question. Corey asked, are kids allowed? Yes, they are, Corey. And as I recall, last week somebody mentioned, I believe it was it, I want to say 16 and under or 12 and under. Either way, Kazra will tell you right now, or if he didn't already, 16 and under. And your wife, you bring the whole family. But of course, plan it correctly, because if you plan on having your kids and your wife do nothing but stay beside you at the show, I don't think you're going to really enjoy that very much.
But again, there was a pool, place to wander. The Universal's next door, so if they want to do something else, there's plenty to do.
For
sure.
Bring the kids, get a bunch of free sketches, and then have them go to the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Scott says, he saw a bunch of kids there. The hotel pool and rooms were feet away. They were bopping all around that. So that's cool, yeah.
Use your kids as leverage. Oh, my daughter would really love a sketch from you. On this 11 by 17, and if you could just do it with a little extra detail, she really likes your work.
She really appreciates the art.
Right.
Oh, sure. So Jeff says, I think they could. Wow, you're still here, Jeff, even after we made fun of you? Wow. I think they could easily double or even triple attendance, as many people were sitting on the sidelines waiting to see how it went. And let's just say we agree with that assessment, Jeff. Hypothetically, we agree with that. Let's just say that. Here's the thing: the problem is not whether they can or not. For the attendees or potential attendees, the issue for attendees is that, at least from what I can gather and what these guys here with me in the studio can gather, is, and what I've gathered from talking to other people, most of the feedback is such that that's the last thing the collectors would want to see happen, although the con promoters would love to see that happen, of course. That's wherein we find that necessary balance, because if you start trying to make it that way, a lot of the collectors, then you got to start dealing with a lot of the collectors stopping themselves from going anymore, because they're going to be like, it used to be good the first couple of years, but then it got so big. Now it's like any other con. I don't want to go anymore. You know what I mean? So you have to be careful about that. So I really don't think most collectors that attended, although it would be lovely to get everybody's response, but I would have to hazard a guess. If I had to hazard a guess, I would think that most people who attended this year would say, on a yes and no question, do you want it to double and triple in size? I think most people would say no. I'd rather keep it small and way closer to what it was this year than to double or triple that,
Yeah, there's always, you don't want to go like expand too much too fast, because you want at least the experience. You want people to not notice that the experience is changing. Like you kind of grow it at a natural pace. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's purely out of selfishness. I think there's room to have those folk, added attendees. It's just that once you're there and you see this and you're like, that's perfect, just leave it right there. I got what I wanted out of it, so leave it there.
Yeah. Now, that being said, is if you did it, if it's a larger crowd, but you use smaller rooms, like if you had multiple smaller rooms with people spread out, it might still feel very intimate, as opposed to having one.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to say, like the Kazra is answering Jeff's comment, right? Saying that he thinks that they could easily go up to 1,000, which would be, let's say, a little bit more than double from this year. And I wasn't there, but I agree that just in context of having been to, regular Comic Cons and knowing how that feels like, I have to agree that I think it would still have a certain feel of intimacy at 1,000. Of course, if that was my first con of this type, it's context. It makes sense that it would feel intimate, because every other con I've ever been to has had many, many thousands, right? Whereas for guys who already attended the first one, you're more likely to be like, wow, I was there when it was only like 450 or 500, whatever, right? That was cool. You know what I mean? So yeah. But
I'm sure the people who first went to San Diego look at it now and go, what the hell happened to my show?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Mark.
So, but there's definitely room for more. So.
Oh no, for sure. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Yeah, four of you, please, if you could hit the like button, I'd appreciate that. Let me see. What are you saying, Tommy? Here now. Watch a lot of other YouTube channels and been talking to show up a lot. Many didn't know about it or were unsure to being okay. Thinking would it be small, whatever. They'll go next year. Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt that it'll grow from one year to the next, especially given the feedback so far on the first one. That alone will be enough for it to grow a certain percentage.
And there's definitely people that like they want to know more about the show. Like even on like my small. Although I appreciate every 57 subscriber that I have, that video that I posted the other day has gotten the most engagement because people want to know, and there hasn't been a whole a lot of information out, but I know they will. I mean, there'll be a lot more next year because there was footage recorded of this show, so there will definitely be more advertising next year. So but people want to know. They want to know like from people like us who went and what we thought of it.
Of course. Yeah. Everybody wants to wait for the feedback. That makes total sense, Corey, by the way, admits that he already did go. So he didn't take the kids, but he took his wife. I'm glad your wife had a great time. My wife is my girlfriend. What? Oh, okay.
If Casper's listening, if the show increases in size, then I want a package where I can have a guaranteed spot at the bar at Miller's Ale House.
Well, you're going to need a bigger bar if it increases that much.
Yeah. I'll pay for that in advance just to ensure that I got a seat at the bar. So
I'll be in the vault.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I did want to just quickly, if I can, if you don't mind, sorry to interrupt really briefly, guys, address a couple of comments from quite a while back. Yeah. Alberto, just to tell you, you're disappointed I didn't comment on your the stuff you put at the calf, okay, from the stuff you picked up. I have to tell you, without wanting to go off on a tangent, because I could easily make this another tangent, okay? Here's the thing. I saw it last night. I saw all your new additions. And without hopefully going off on a tangent, I just want to put it out there, not only for you, it's worth mentioning for everybody who does what you did, is that I leave people a lot of comments, okay? A lot. So the problem is I can tell you right now, one of the things I really dislike about having to leave comments for people is for those collectors who decide to put multiple pieces every day or per day. In other words, if you've got 5 pieces you want to post, Jason, I think you're guilty of doing this yourself.
Yep.
My suggestion to you guys, post 1 today, 1 tomorrow, over the next 5 days. Because when I go there and I see I've got like 18 or 25 people I got to leave comments for, that's already taking enough of my time. And then when one of you happens to post 18 different pieces in the same day, Mr. Gonzalez, I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm not leaving you 18 comments. Hell no. But if you post them 1 at a time, 1 per day, I'll leave you a comment on every one. So FYI, just leave that as a good piece of advice. And let me tell you both as well, and everybody else who does that, this, I can tell you, is not just a Rubén thing. I haven't spoken to a lot of collectors who like to leave comments for others. We all pretty much agree. We do not like it when one person posts a bunch of things in the same day. I mean, it's fine if you post it, but if you expect me to leave a comment on every piece, forget it. But if you leave them, 1 per day, you're much more likely to get comments from people. A lot of people, it feels overwhelming. Let's just leave it that way.
Things get. I mean, if you do in like a big batch, you're burying your own art. Because people don't necessarily beyond like the 3 that are there and your most 3 recent posts. Right. Beyond that, you might not get somebody who's gonna click and see that. But yeah,
I do it mainly because I remember what the hell I'm doing. I'm like, oh. This is how I get the image uploaded, and then
Yeah. Oh, the other, real quickly, the other thing I wanted to address, now that Kazra mentions, is that at least 30 artists brought their spouses, which was very important.
That's cool.
Really, really quickly, Kazra, can you tell me, and I assume the answer is yes, but can you tell me, for those that had to fly in who weren't local from Florida, I'm assuming that means you paid for both of their flights? I ask you, not that it's my business, but I ask you because I'm always interested in the business side of things in this hobby anyways. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But I ask you because my friend, who is the promoter of the Montreal show here, he doesn't bring guests in when they are the type who always insist on traveling with their spouses, because he's like, oh, whatever. He's not really going to bring a crowd in with him. And I got to pay for 2 airplane tickets and blah, 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 whatever. And that, as a fan, it kind of pisses me off. But yeah, so that's why I'm asking, I assume, because I know in the States, those American conventions, from the people I've talked to, most people say, yeah, of course, if you're going to, like Joe Jusko always travels with his wife, and yeah, you got to pay for both. If you're not willing to pay for both, then he's not going to bother going to the show. So I'm just curious, but again, if you don't want to reveal that info, that's fine.
He posted, so I'll skip ahead.
Okay, sure. I appreciate it.
He said we paid for them both and gave them king beds mostly.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. You're doing it the right way, Casper. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. But the final point I wanted to just address real quick. Jason asked earlier, why didn't I go to the show? The answer is the same that I give to why haven't I gone to any other show.
Or they won't let him in.
12 years. Exactly. Heidjer knows. I've been barred from most of the conventions in the United States. I think the people at the border, they don't let me into the country anymore. But bottom line is, I just hate airline travel. I hate airports. I hate everything involved with air travel. And so for the last, I don't know, really, I stopped going regularly to cons in 2007. So imagine how long it's been. And I've only been to 2 or 3 others since 2007. So,
boy, would you be in for a treat if you went to like a normal convention? You would be angry Rubén the entire time.
and can I say that the flight experience out of Orlando was horrible.
Oh.
Getting out of Orlando, there was a lot of confusion. I fly a lot, so I had the clear plus double secret probation thing, and that line was longer than any of the other ones. It's like, for crying out loud, people.
Right.
Yeah, that airport is 20 years behind updating.
And they just don't care. They deal with they're just like, they don't care. I mean, it's just like, horrible.
Yeah.
But
so there you go.
But it's better than Pearson.
Where's Pearson?
Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not from Toronto. I think he's taking a jab at me because he knows I'm Canadian. He thinks he doesn't remember.
No, but a lot of folks have to fly through Toronto to get down to the States, and that's always it was good until I got there.
The way to piss off Rubén is just, trash an airport.
No, trash an airport, and you're just guaranteed I'm never going to go to any convention. It's already very unlikely that I'll travel to a convention, but now you just tell me it's a terrible airport. Oh, that's it.
Yeah, we told him it's hell to get out of there, so he's like, nope, I'm out forever.
I can't do it. No. Maki Poo Poo, NYCC used to be bearable. Now it's so annoying. Wow. Okay. And I haven't been to NYCC since I think 2007. So that was, I think, their second year. And I remember thinking, wow, that's a large show already. It's getting pretty large in that second year. But wow, I can't imagine how much it's grown since then. So
I'm in Philly, and that's an easy trip, and I still won't go. I'd much rather go to Baltimore. That's my show for the year.
You're in Philly? I thought you were in Pittsburgh.
No.
You're in Philly?
Right, yeah, right outside of Philly. Yeah.
Right outside. What's the actual city?
It's like Glenside. It's
Okay.
like it's outside of the official, border, but it's only like a mile away, which is the outer limits of the Philadelphia.
Yeah, okay.
It's not like a half hour to Center City.
Yeah. Yeah. CJ, that's never going to happen. There's not enough Canadians here, I think. I mean, the only choice would be to do it in the greater Toronto area. And to make it feasible, truthfully, I believe a lot of Americans would have to want to and be willing to travel and cross the border. And of course, Americans have plenty of conventions as it is. So I don't see enough incentive for it to be a feasible thing to do. On this side of the border. So. But I don't know. Jeff always has opinions. He lives in the greater Toronto area, so maybe he'll let us know. So he says, I want to be grandfathered in with my collector's table going forward. Like he's already demanding things, you know? So demanding. So
that's like the next. That's the next level of fighting. It's like
right.
yeah.
The
artist. And, yeah.
So Kazar says 400 to 500 attendee shows aren't financially viable no matter how hard you work or clever you are with the financial model. All right, how generous? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, look. Listen, that's not, to me, anyways. That's not a surprise. So I know that it has to grow. You know, otherwise you're just gonna, you know, you don't want to be. Listen, you expect to be in the red when you start promoting conventions. At least if you're smart, I think you would expect to be in the red. And then, of course, the goal is to grow it at a certain pace every year till you get yourself into the black. So we get that, or at least I get that. But that's the thing, Kazar. It's just a question of where you need to be to make it financially feasible. And then at that point, though, is that attendee level too high in the minds of the collectors, the art collectors, who enjoy the fact that it feels intimate right now? So it'll be interesting to see, you know, it'll be interesting to see if you guys can make it work and still have everybody continue to show up and enjoy it and still feel that it's intimate enough for their taste to keep showing up every year and not feel like, it's too big for me now. I think I'll skip it, you know. So it'll be interesting.
I think Heidjer brought up a good point of having kind of separate areas, maybe, you know, multiple rooms. So that way you still, even though you might not, I mean, the numbers are larger, you have them in separate areas, and then kind of keeps that, you know, splits the crowd more. So that, I mean, that's one way to kind of solve that problem potentially. Right.
Yeah. And Alberto, Jason has a good point here. That's another thing. Just FYI, I'm not saying I never leave comments for people like that, but that's another pet peeve, is that, like, because I got to limit the comments I leave, because I already leave, you know, I spend too much time as it is doing that. When I find I have to limit myself, that's another way I limit myself. If I see people have nothing to say, literally nothing to say about their art, I feel like, if you don't care, why should I give a shit? No offense, because I still give you comments, but because you're my friend. But other people, if I don't know you that well, and I normally would give you a comment, if I don't see you posting anything in the description, for me, it's an easy pass. Okay, I can save myself the time, whatever. You got nothing to say, I got nothing to say. FYI, and it's not just a me thing again. I'm letting you know, I've talked to a lot of people. A lot of us feel that way. A lot of us who like to comment, we feel that way. So
I love hearing the story. Like what made you want the piece, or what, you know, right? I love reading that stuff.
Right.
And that's I'm more inclined to then chime in and say, hey, you know, that's a good point, or whatever it is. So.
Exactly. That's what it's about for me. Look at that. Yeah. And you see, my friend, I get what you're thinking. Oh, but I got to say something about 15 pieces. Right. Which is a more reason for you to spread it out, one per day at most. And then you don't feel so overwhelmed having to write some description about it. There you go. All right. So there you learned something today.
Or just go back and edit it, you know, but, you know.
Like, yeah, see, thank you. I need somebody to chime in and help me out with that. Thank you, James. There you go. Multiple same-day posts are tough. It's tough to handle, for sure. So there you go. Let me just try to catch up, guys, with some comments, because I've fallen behind by 10 minutes again. Well, you can post 100 per day, and Marcus will still get to them. It's true, but he's an exception to the rule, right? So, yeah. And Marcus also points out that when you do that, you're competing against yourself for the attention. That's right. You're dividing any attention that your pieces would get, right, amongst your 15 pieces you posted, or your 5 or 6, Jason.
Or post your best one last, because if you post like the one you're most excited to post and then post 15 other pieces, you just buried the one you're really excited to show.
Good point.
There you go. Do what makes you feel good. No, but like, listen, of course you got to do whatever you feel like it. Of course, you're free to do what you want. But I think it bears mentioning that when you do those things that we brought up, or that I brought up here, I'm just telling you the consequences of those things. You get less people who want to bother leaving you comments. That's just a fact. Okay, so I'm just letting you know. Oh, look at that. Wow, CAD's back. Able to come back for a little while. CADs are 1,000 attendees might achieve a good balance between financial viability and retaining a great atmosphere for collectors. Yeah, who knows? I mean, and I'm willing to bet Kazra is a smart dude. I'm willing to bet he already knows where that fine line is between being in the red and being in the black. Whether he wants to talk about it or mention it, or if he needs to do more math on that is another thing. But yeah, he knows. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm sure we'll find out in due course, you know.
I have a great idea. Put one room with all like Marvel artists, and then there's just a small room for us DC guys who like Superman or whatever, and then we could just have our own little room, and I think that's a perfect plan.
Yeah. Thank you, Comic Art Boston. I appreciate that. Again, I don't know why I'm thanking you, but like I said, I'm not kidding. I'm the one talking, but I speak for a lot of people who say that brought those points up. You know, the etiquette of posting and commenting on CAF. I'm telling you, it's not just me. There's a lot of us who feel the same way. So I'm speaking for a lot of people, not just myself.
There's no wrong way. It's just there are other ways that get us maybe to engage more. That's
exactly. All. I'm just referring to anybody who cares about the engagement. That's what I'm referring to. If you post on CAF and you are somebody who cares about getting engagement with your posts, that's what my advice is. Those are the people I'm targeting. You know, if you care, don't ever post more than one piece per day. I'm telling you, it's going to help you. And I've said my piece. I've spoken my piece on that. Corey, OAX was my very first show. Wow. Very first convention in general ever? That's pretty cool.
Corey, don't go to any other show then. You will just, it's like, what?
Southern Comic Geek, Jason Richardson, what's up? That is a false statement. And in fact, okay, just because you mentioned Tom, when I mentioned earlier that my friend who puts on the Montreal Con, you know, when he doesn't want to pay for couples, that's one of the couples he doesn't want to pay for. I'm like, Tom's a Canadian treasure, right? I'm like, come on, we're a Canadian show. You have to have Tom and his wife Nancy. They're so fun to talk to. People love them. You know, it can't just be always about how many tickets do you think I can sell just by having Tom there. It's like, nah, man, it's not about that. You know, it's the experience in general. So, anyways, Jason, just all that I wanted to say. No, because I you know, they travel to many cons and I don't travel to go see them. Just FYI.
They're coming to Philly in May. So
yeah, there you go. Yep, exactly. Bring Mike Perkins too. Like it's not like he's my dog, you know. Mike will go wherever he feels like going. Come on, boy. He'll go where he wants to go, and if I feel like tagging along and just hanging out with him because I haven't seen him since 2012 in person, then I'd go for sure. Experience out of Orlando. Okay, I don't want to get to the airports again. We've talked enough about that. Sorry, Alberto, but you know, you've heard enough. There you go. Yeah, my ankle bracelet keeps me in Canada. Right. Okay, more airport talk. Let's get rid of the airport talk. Although Mickey says that Toronto is the worst. Just FYI for everybody, because Toronto's airport Pearson was brought up a couple of times now. This last year, it was voted as the worst in the world.
We're number one. We're number one.
Yeah. They ain't chanting USA. Let me see. Okay, what else we got? I left on Sunday and it was an ordeal. Okay, your airport talking again.
Yeah. We all left. I mean, Sunday night's the worst time. You know, families leaving. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's why it's like if you're going to attend something in a city that is, you know, the event is happening on a weekend, you should know better than to fly out on the weekend, right? It's better to wait for the weekday to get the hell out of there, you know? But of course, I also understand that, it's an extra night of hotel, whatever. So I get it, you know. But Jeff Sting's house would hold OAX North. That's true. Actually, you know, his yearly a collector gathering is essentially like an OAX anyway. So that's what we have. We already have our own version of it there. CJ is ratting you out, Carl. He says that you lived in Langhorne years ago.
No, I think he's saying he lived in Langhorne years ago.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, which is actually that's where my wife grew up, in Langhorne.
Oh, okay.
It's like a half hour away from here.
Oh, okay, cool. And there you go, Nick. I'm sure somebody probably answered you, but yeah, Nick. Nick, we're talking about Carl. Yeah.
It's me.
There you go. And CJ already answered. Alberto, you don't live outside of Philly, like 5,000
miles.
Okay, nice. Oh, look at that. Belated hello. What's up? Tom McDonald. Good to see you, sir. Who else do we get? Intimacy issues arise. Yeah, when the cons grow. Right. Let's see what else we got. Oh, look at this. Tommy says, I would pay $500 for a VIP ticket, and I feel many would. I don't know about that, but what was the actual price? Again, I forget.
310, something like that.
It was they had an early bird special. I think it was like $275 that I paid months ago. But,
okay. Tommy, I agree that some people would. I don't agree that many would. That whatever. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if the prices go up next year. We'll see. All of that shit will come to pass in the next 12 months, I guess. Right. So there's another one. He agrees with you. Okay. VIP tickets for Como are €500 for the weekend, but the food and venue is pretty spectacular. Yeah, and it's different, right? That's different. When people are already going from North America and making that decision to, all right, I'll go to Europe. You're already blowing all that extra money. It's
an acceptable cost.
Yeah, your mindset changes completely, and you're willing to spend more because of it, So, yeah. Yes, exactly. The rules of art posting, exactly. I missed you. Sorry, a long time ago. Nicky B, have a great night. I know you're gone. Thank you. Scott said, well, if they had 200 attendees, 40% growth, exactly. On a percentage level, that's a lot. Then grow the size, 33%, will be 7% more crowded. So I think that's fine.
That's a story problem from elementary school that I don't want to try to figure out.
Yeah. Train left. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so
as long as it makes sense to Scott, that's great. So he made a good point. So acceptable growth.
So Kaz was saying, okay, so ask yourself how well we did. So we did that from nothing. Year 2 will be so much better. The 2 big issue is more year 3 or probably 4. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of expecting. And then I'll have year 2 and 3 to work off. Yeah, exactly. There you go. So no sense in worrying about it. Looking ahead too far, just worry about next year, and that's it. At
that point, that's a pretty good problem to have.
Exactly. And let me see, what else do we got? So I have a great dinner. Okay. Let's see. Mickey says, I want the show to succeed as long as there is plenty of room to move around. I am happy. Okay, good point. That's a good point. Not everybody will agree, of course, as there will always be those people. I just want it to be small, stay small, whatever. But yeah, depends on how small, because like Kazra admits right off the bat, if it's too small, it won't continue. We have to shut it down, right? So yeah, exactly. Hey, Wes, been a while. What's up, dude? OAX was incredible. Met so many cool collectors. Well, cool. Not only did you love it, but the thing that you mentioned that you like the most is meeting other people. So that's cool. Yeah, that's all. Oh my God, look who's here. Holy crap. I can't believe anybody even mentioned it. What the hell? Carl Amano from Hawaii. Wow. Carl, amazing to see you. So Carl used to be a regular and he dropped off, and wow, it's been several months since he's been here. Carl, lovely to see you. Sorry I'm getting to your comment. I hope you're still around, 6 minutes late. I hope everything is doing well for you, my friend. Yeah, man. We were all worried about you for a while. So glad to see you here, man. Thank you for dropping in. And Scott says, hey, West. Okay. Yeah, see, look at that. Great to meet you. So that's the fun part. Everybody meeting everybody. Very cool. And what else? So James is like, $500 and an open bar all weekend. See, that's a comment for those who can't catch the humor there. He's thinking that's a lot of money, right? $500, unless you give.
That's a money loser right there. $500 open bar. That's a money loser.
Yeah, no, exactly. And let me see. Casara sold a cover Sunday night at the bar. Wheeling and dealing at the bar. He might have given it away for $5. Are you sure it was $500? Taking notes for raise prices. Yeah, exactly. OAX too far for you, Carl. Well, it's you know, you got to get to the mainland and then across the other side of the mainland. So it's a pretty long flight for you for sure. And has to be some open bar at the auction next year.
Ooh, we joked about that too. Like we were saying, if they do an open bar at the auction, like, hey. Open bar starts at 5, auction starts at 6.
Right.
Wow, look at that. Tom says that he added his partner Alice and she had a blast. That's the second time that somebody has commented to say my wife or my partner had a blast. Worth it for the two of us to have something we both enjoy together. Oh, but Tom, let us know, is Alice, like, does she have any interest in, does she have a connection to comics, comic book art, or a total non-comic book person? Because if she's totally not into the hobby, then it's even more impressive, of course, because it's like, wow, she had a great time and that's not even what she's into. That would be great. But yeah, if she's into the hobby, then it makes it even more special because you can, you know, you spend the time together. So that's really cool. Well, let us know. Let me see. Okay, people talking amongst themselves. Anyone see Cosmic? Okay, jokes. Oh, look at that. There you go. Karen missed you, Carl. You see, he and I spoke about you privately because we were worried. I thought you might have passed away, to be honest. That's how worried I was. So there you go. So, okay, he's posting it again. What's this? 2024 heroes included. I don't know. Why are you posting that? What happened at Heroes? I don't know. Anyways, okay.
No, I think he's saying the heroes of this show were those people. Like, because like Jeff did the fundraising, Nick did the.
Yeah, I see. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so let's there's okay. Let's put it up there. Okay, there you go. Nick Barucci, Jeff Wedding, Chris Snorick, Jimmy Palmiotti, Tom McDonald, Alberto Gonzalez, and Wolby Fan. All right. You're going to leave a lot of people out. They're going to feel like, what? I was chump change? Like, you make people feel bad, Kazra.
I'll pay an extra amount to be listed as an OAX hero. If that's like the VIP level, the hero level.
Exactly. Thank you, Tom. So Alice is interested in it because she knows. Oh, okay. So she's not really interested. It interests her to know how much she appreciates to see you in the way that, you know, your love for the hobby is what you're saying, I think, right? She sees how passionate you are and how passionate other people are. It's like my wife. So Vivian's the same thing. She's not into it at all, like literally at all. But the reason she's here to support me in the chat every week is because she loves the camaraderie she sees. Yeah, so she really loves that about it, and that's why she was okay with coming with me, and when I used to travel to shows sometimes. So, thank you, sir. I appreciate hearing that. And we have Corey. Yeah, Corey. There we go. Corey was saying the same thing. So same thing as Tom. So that's very cool to hear. Nice playing around. Okay, so jokes. Grace rocked. Okay, more jokes. Yes, she loves to see me happy. There you go. Alice also took photos for the show. Okay, cool. If she helps out, that's even better. Carl, has anyone seen? He loves Katie Keene. Anyone seen Katie Keene pages at conventions at OAX by any chance? Carl, if there was any chance for anybody to have seen Katie Keene pages at a convention, I would think OAX would have been the one, simply because it was focused on nothing but original art. Fellas on the screen, anybody happen to see Katie Keene art?
I looked at so many pages, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hard to see when you have to go through such an overwhelming amount of art.
And there was a point where, like, you're looking through stuff and it just all blurs together. Like, wait, where did I see that page or what? So that, again, like, that was a fun part of it. You just saw so much art. You know?
Yeah, for sure. All right. So now that I've caught up with the comments, can I ask you guys? I know we've kind of touched on it, but might as well get to it in a more specific way, especially since Kazra's here. Is there anything that really stood out to you guys as something that you were like I wish, you know what I mean? Like, in other words, something that can be improved upon, or that you wish I wish they would they can do without that. They don't need that. Or, maybe they can make this better. Something like that. Anyone?
I mean, I know they were happy with the auction results, but it maybe, and again, it's my experience.
No. A lot of people have said what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
So I just think it was kind of long, but then again, like there were a lot more people that were engaged in wanting to see like the auction pieces.
Right.
There were a couple pieces that I wanted to see, and they were all relatively early. They did them in alphabetical order, so like the artists, like the all red stuff was towards the beginning, and they just went through the list. So the stuff that I wanted to see, I saw in that like a 2-hour window, and then we decided to leave after that. I mean, I don't know, but if you get the auction results you wanted, then is it really a problem? I don't know, but I thought it kind of went on for and the one thing I like, you could kind of feel, and again, but there was like you kind of feel it was kind of going on a while, because the tables that they had set up for the collector corner was in that same ballroom where they had chairs for an auction.
Oh,
so there were a lot of people over on the tables just like talking, and chatting, and so like it has a tendency to get louder than you would probably want at an auction. But again, people were conversing and having a good time. So do you want that to go away? I mean, I don't know. There were some people that were in the auction area that like couldn't, not that they couldn't hear, but they were like kind of yelling things, like telling like Nick I forget what, there was something that was like somebody was like kind of like yelling. She was sitting to my left in the back. That's why I'm doing this. That like, tell us the starting bid, or tell us they were kind of like yelling for more information. I don't know if that was just because it was like 2 hours into the auction. I don't know, but again, if it's hard to say, because I wasn't super like into a lot of pieces for the auction. But
yeah, I felt they had 2 auctioneers. They had Nick and Jimmy, and probably rotating them just so that, because I think sometimes, like Carl's talking about, the area where there were tables was a little bit hard to see who was bidding over there. It was a little more chaotic than the row of chairs that's right in front of the auctioneer. So if Jimmy was looking at one section and Nick didn't see it, I think there was a little bit of confusion on who was bidding and who's in the lead. So maybe just having one auctioneer that it's their job to sweep the room, figure out, keep track in their own mind.
Like a couple scouts out front, right? Yeah, and being like,
right,
pointing out, that might help.
Yeah, something along that line. That would be my. The auction could just be fine tuned a little bit, but
well, at least Kazra is obviously aware of it, and he says he wishes the auction was shorter, and it will be. So he's But listen, like I told you guys last week, I mentioned and Nicky knows he's not going to take offense. Nicky B, love the guy, but like myself, he loves to talk, and I wasn't there, but I heard that reason it went so long is he talks and he's talking too much. He's saying too much about everything or whatever, right? And so that's the thing, is it's true, Kazra. You got to get somebody who doesn't like to talk so much. So I would also, if you had me auctioneer the auction, it probably also would go 4 hours.
I mean,
it's about the art. So it's like, you've got to get somebody who isn't that talkative, who just sort of gets to the point.
I would argue that, Ruben, it's just a question of what is the goal of the auction. I mean, if you're trying to move through a lot of pieces, like Heritage on a Sunday on the Platinum, you're going through it to see, that's one thing. But if it's doing like a community thing, you got a small amount, and you really talk and chat and pull people on. That's a different thing. It's just
And the proceeds are going to Heroes, which was there was a fundraising aspect of it. So knowing Nick, like he's like, hey, let's kind of keep this going, which I understand that too. But I'm glad I don't have to figure out how to make it better.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of things you could do. I mean, it was kind of cool to see that many pieces of art going through, but it makes it longer. It was nice that there were pieces of varying price points, so that they're not all 5,000 plus pages, or they're not all $20 pages.
Yeah, so that was nice, because there was something for every budget in that auction too, that's great. That encourages more people to get involved. So
yeah. Jeff says, I wish Kazra got to flip through some portfolios. Hey man, like I said at the top of the hour, or not top of the hour, sorry, top of the show, If you decide to put on a convention, hosting conventions, promoting conventions, I don't know a single person who ever ran a convention that actually, when the convention arrived, they got to just act like they were a fan and enjoyed the convention.
Yeah.
All you're doing when you run conventions, for those of you who don't know and who think that it's a fun thing to do, is it gets crazier. The convention arrives and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, putting out fires here and there. And of course, I'm referring more to like regular Comic Cons, right? Bigger shows. But even on smaller ones, it's the same sort of mentality. There's all these people who need help, and you got to blah blah blah. Yeah, you're just running around constantly. You don't actually sit down and talk to people and enjoy the show like a fan. Yeah. So that's it. The other thing, Kazra, and he mentions the auction slides will have complete info on it next year. That's important. PA system will have speakers in the back, and 2 people will be on the floor to identify paddles. That's good. It's important. Yeah, so you know how to improve the auction experience for sure.
Sure.
And this is also a good point by Mickey. One auctioneer, it'd be better. I agree with that. I know the idea is, you want to have some fun playing off of each other, whatever. Nick and Jimmy are buddies. I get that aspect of it, but again, it almost guarantees it's going to go way longer than anybody wants it to, And
I will say that dynamic was entertaining to watch.
Oh, sure, I'm sure
it was fun, So
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to get a balance for something like that because, like Heidjer said, on the one hand, you're trying to raise money for people, so you want to talk more about the pieces, try to get more money for them, right? You want to have the fun banter between 2 people who are good friends. Absolutely. But at the same time, a lot of people that are watching and attending, as bad as it may sound, as selfish as it may sound, they don't give a flying fuck, and all they want is to get to the art that they want to bid on, and there's enough people who are like that. So I get that aspect of it too. So that's why you got to find the balance because, not everybody wants to be sitting around for that many hours, right? So it sounds like, Kazra is going to do his best to make that happen. So that's cool. Now, Carl's still here. Awesome. By the way, I suggested to my girlfriend about going to OAX, but she emphatically said no way. Why? Because of the distance? Probably because of the distance. And, given that I'm closer than you are, and I don't want to go to the conventions, I don't blame you, honestly.
When you're in Hawaii, is Florida a draw?
Right. Right.
Exactly. Would I have to travel that much to get to Florida?
Right.
Okay, so Mickey is saying that the cameraman was also in the way at the auction. Did any of you guys experience that? I don't know what he means.
I didn't
by
have that problem.
I mean, we were like we were sitting like the 4th row. So the camera was like, again, he was right back here, a couple rows back, but in the aisle. So I'm sure there were seats that if you were sitting there, it was in the way. But there was enough open seats that you could probably move to avoid that.
I was sitting in the back, and the only thing is the screen where the art was shown. If you're far enough back, you're only catching about 2/3 of the screen. So if that was lifted up, but I mean that's nitpicking. I could have stood up if I was really interested in the piece, or I could have walked forward if I was interested in the piece. So, okay. Corey says a lot of people were waiting until the last second, as if it was a snipeable auction. Did you guys remember that happening? You felt people were waiting for?
Well, part of it was like, so I think both even Jimmy and Nick were kind of like feeling some things we got to move along, some things we don't.
Right.
So they would kind of on the fly gauge, like if there's action, then we'll make a longer countdown. But if there's like not a lot, then we'll do a short countdown. So there wasn't like a consistency in now we're going to do a 10-second countdown, which in some ways that's great because adding 10 seconds to every single piece would be, come on.
Yeah.
But I think they were kind of like trying to manage that on the fly, which made it then confusing if you were trying to be the person who was going to bid at the last second,
my God. Okay. I just to add to this same specific part of the topic, is this real? There were times where they would do 20-second countdowns.
I don't remember. I remember hearing 10, and I was like, "Don't do this. This is going to take forever."
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
You know what? the reality is 10 would be fine if people were able to actually count off real seconds. But you know how these things go. 10.
Yeah.
9.
I think Jimmy and Nick had 2 different timers in their head.
Jimmy was like,
Jimmy was more of the going once, going twice, sold. And Nick was, let me see if I can get anybody else interested. And I'll give them time to think about it because maybe I can draw in another bidder. And so the 2 structures would conflict with each other.
Okay. And that's another thing. Tom mentions his second. He said it was long but entertaining. As for we were in a room with drinks looking at art, what else were you going to do that would have been better? Well, listen, you can't speak for everybody. I'm sure other people who wanted to get to certain pieces probably, you have to imagine other people would have had plans where they were hoping to, they'd already previously planned, hey, you and me and so, let's go and do this after, right? And they probably would want to go and do whatever it is they wanted to do. But now they can't go because they're being held back waiting for this slow ass auction to finish, And
kind of what we were talking about before, like, do we have ability to complain about things that are too expensive that cost less than art? But like the bar, I mean, it's a hotel convention, run bar. So the drink prices were up there. I was like 12 or $16 for like a beer, and which is not like not, oh my God, that's like the worst thing possible. But I was just like, nah, I can wait because we had plans, to go afterwards. And I was like, I don't need, so
yeah.
I don't know. Again, that's nitpicking because it's hotel run and you kind of expect that. So
well, this was another thing that Gil, the point that Gil's making, right? He agrees with all the points, but maybe keep it alphabetical order, but hold auctions each day. That's an interesting idea to maybe split it up to 2 days. That might even keep people or make people say, oh man, okay, I was only planning on going for 1 day, the Saturday, but they're going to split the auction into 2 days. I'm there to buy art. Maybe, I don't know. No, you don't think?
I don't think, unless you were going to split it into like a price structure. But even at that, like the number of the crowd was small enough that if you split the auction, you're like limiting your, I don't know. I think that would be, if it was a bigger convention, maybe that works better. But in this, I think you want as many people at one auction.
But when they say it was alphabetical order, do you mean by artist or title?
Artist last name. See,
I'm good with alphabetical, but for an auction like that, I would say alphabetical if you want by the title of the title of the book the page is from or something like that.
Well, it was a lot of commissions. That's why.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, okay.
So, and again, I would go back to see what's the point of the auction in terms of if it's raising money for something and so forth. There's a lot of auctions out there. We already have, one heritage auction a week and so forth. The auction stuff, it's got to be for something. It's got to be almost a special event.
Yeah, Kazler is saying the number of auction pieces will be reduced next year. And might have some fun, good value, buy it now lots too. Yeah, that's
What about? I mean, Kazler, what about doing like a silent auction on some pieces throughout the show, like in a room or something like that you could like bid on through the week, and then have some marquee pieces. I mean, that might.
You mean the kind of thing where they show the piece there, you could go up to look at the piece, and throughout the weekend you can put a ballot box.
Or like I saw I know Sean Murphy did a sketch of Mandalorian and Grogu, and they did it not for the convention, just for themselves. They had a sign-up sheet at the booth, had the piece that he drew hung up, and then there was a time we're going to accept bids until 4 o'clock, whatever the day was. I think it was 4 o'clock, and then you could just write down your name and your bid, and then whoever was the top bid at 4 o'clock won the piece. So, like that kind of setup could maybe since they have different galleries set up at the show, have a room that was auction gallery pieces, go in there and then have sign-up sheets to maybe do that.
Well, Kazler's listening,
but
so
I guess
there you go. It's a suggestion, Kazler, something to think about.
It's I guess the one thing they did do proxy bids before the show, so maybe just I don't know how that might get kind of tricky because you already have a bid that already is well beyond the top bid, and then that person's not at the show wins the piece. I don't know, but whatever. But that's something like that might work. I don't know how. But not really my.
No, yeah, for sure. No, like I said, he's heard you, so that's it. I just have to keep highlighting Kazra's comment. The cameraman's hair was too big. And Mickey's like, yes, I had to move. That's why Mickey said earlier, he's the guy who said, there was like obstructions in my view, That's hilarious. It's like you guys hired some guy from the 80s, some 80s rock band, some hair metal band dude. That's funny. If the camera was in the way, there were places to move. That is true. Why not just move? Because there's not that many people. Put hot tubs in the auction room. They'd have to see Jeff half naked. No thanks.
And a really confused family from Milwaukee.
Monkey Poo Poo saying they should do it the way Heritage does it. I don't know what you mean by that, Michael. Exactly. The live
over 5 days.
Yeah, because they go on forever.
That rushes through it quickly and costs everybody money.
Hoarders, if I only posted one a day, why are you? Oh wow, you're on like. You got to refresh your feed, dude. You're talking about what I said about the etiquette on posting. You, by the way, you are another one of the guilty parties who I find it very hard. I've been skipping a lot of your posts because you post too much in one day. And it's okay if you never finish. If you do it once per day, every day, 365 pieces a year, my friend. That's a lot. Trust me. Do it once per day. What else do we got here? Or they could start the auction at an earlier hour, says Maki Poo Poo. But still,
it was like right at the. It was. I think because the show was over at 5, and I think the pizza arrived at like 5:30. So it was like right after. I don't know that they could have done it a lot earlier.
Yeah. So look what Kaz was saying. For those of you who don't know, Ed Pittscore and Jim Rugg are the guys from the Cartoonist Kayfabe channel. It's a pretty fun channel. And he wants those two guys to host the auction next year. Super knowledgeable, fun, fast-paced, rules, structures laid out. Yeah, 5:30 sharp and 7:30, and you have the whole night in front of you. Yeah, so that's a cool idea, Kazra, if you can get them to go.
I mean, it probably would make it more excitement in the room if people know that we're not going to dwell on this piece. So if you want it, you're going to have to go with your bid and kind of drive that price up in that, whatever it is, 5 minutes, 10 minutes you're going to spend on each piece.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, Tom. Tom's trying to tell us that, listen, the way you have to think of it is that this is kind of like a party for collectors first that happened to have an auction with it. And so if you don't want to stay, you set a proxy and then just go to dinner. I mean, yeah.
Adding a bar to it, an open bar. So,
yeah, no, look, there's, you got to make choices.
If you don't bid on a piece, you have to take a drink. So that you're gonna
make it a drinking game. Now that
make it a drinking game, so that by the end of the night, everybody's just whatever. Sure, I bid it. Yeah. I don't remember bidding on the last 20, but whatever.
I mean, yeah.
So hold on. So Tommy's saying overall the auction went well, being the first one, everybody had fun. But he says he would have wanted, I think he's trying to say, to have the art out for everyone to see. It might get more interest. Hold on. I wasn't there. Are you honestly telling me that this auction?
No.
You could not.
Not to cut you off, but no. You could
not see the art you were bidding on?
No, you saw the art. They had it on a slide, and they were holding up the art. I think what he might be saying is maybe like have a gallery, like during the show that has all of the auction pieces that you could go either like during regular hours of the show, go into this gallery and see the pieces in person. That's what I think Tom's saying.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. At the auction, you totally saw the piece.
Well, Jewish Dragons, Jason Ladwig here on camera. I believe you came in late. He said early on in the show that he blew his budget in the first 20 minutes.
Yep.
So you're not alone. Mickey says, I was actually thinking of skipping the auction next year because he's so pissed off by that metal hairband guy videotaping the auction. He's like, I'm not even going next year. That's how much he. That's how much he hated it.
Thanks, Van Halen.
Yep. Well, I'm glad you came back after all these months on a show that we could make you laugh, Carl. Love to hear that. 365 pieces are a lot. Not a lot for Scott. Yeah, I get it, but who cares? Whatever. Like I said, if he doesn't care about listen, that's the whole point. Is all we're saying is if you care about getting comments, do what I'm suggesting. If you don't give a shit about getting comments, yeah, post 100 per day. I don't care. That's all. That's all we're saying. Pisco and Rod came to the Maui Con. A few years ago. Great chat, guys. To show. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I think Kazra has got a good idea there. That would be fun. How about a VIP area, VIP tickets to get free drink? Man, man. Last week, for those of you who weren't here, number one Marvel fan, he was drunk while he was here, by the way. He was here, drunk, tuning in from the convention. But I appreciated the fact that he was drunk and still talking to us throughout the entire show. But yeah, he loves to drink, apparently. So that's why he talks a lot about the drinks.
Hey, there were a lot of collectors, including myself, who were having a good time there. So.
Really? But that would have been later after everything was over, wasn't it? Like
right.
Yeah. I would think so. The art was also in the same room with the Marvel card art before the show.
You know what? That is absolutely true. I completely forgot that.
He's saying it as a good or a bad thing?
Well, no, I think he's saying that. I was saying we should have it out shown. They did have it in portfolios in the room that had there was a gallery that had the Marvel card art. So that is 100% true. And I actually forgot because we did actually look through portfolio. But
what about Mike here? What about Mike here? Who where is it? Here, who says that the auction art was posted to CAF days before, which lets you see it properly. So right? I mean, and most people who go to these conventions are social people who tend to be on CAF pretty often. I would think that that's a fair assessment. Like, wouldn't you already have known? Like,
well, this is not everything was posted to CAF. Not all the pieces were up there, and they were not in the order they were auctioned, which is a stupid thing. But I was flipping through it to get a closer look while I was in the auction. I was like, I was trying to find the pieces.
Because some of the pieces was just the size of it didn't fit in the portfolio, so maybe that was part of it. And it sounds like they had people add in pieces as well.
Yeah, later on, yeah, because there were a couple pieces that popped up. Or like, I can't find this in here, but I mean,
yeah. But I don't know. But that is a great point about CAF, because I mean that's how I knew that there was. I mean, there were a few pieces that I really wanted to see. So that is 100% a fair point. But still, some people want to see just see it in person. You know, as we all know, it's different. You know, different when you see a piece up close.
Yeah, exactly. You know. I agree. Marcus has a good idea though for next year. Everybody who sits in front of Mickey should be given a big wig to wear. Can you imagine? Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. Oh my gosh. Sombrero, exactly. A giant sombrero. All right, Tommy, what are you saying now? But seeing the art in person on display might help out with many to bid. See, that's what I'm saying. You're saying it wasn't on display, but my friends here in the studio are saying it was on display.
So that would actually be a great compromise. So maybe during the show, have it be in this portfolio, but then once the auction's going, have tables on the side of the room. I don't know how. I don't know. Again, I don't know how you. But maybe have it out on display before the auction or during the auction. But they held it up and they had stuff on the screen. So, but having it out before the auction started on easels or whatever. I mean, something but I don't know.
Yeah.
All reds were so huge you couldn't miss.
You saw them. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. But listen, I think we've covered pretty much everything. But since we can close this out since it's coming up on 3 hours now, and it didn't feel like it. But is there anything else before we close it out that you guys would want to suggest, say, tell Kazra or say about anything about the show related to the show?
Great job, Kazra. We enjoyed it.
I mean, it was overwhelmingly a positive experience.
Yeah.
you know, and I think some of the things that we brought up are, I mean, it sounds like these are already things that are being thought about and addressed. So
right.
That's, you know.
Hey, what's up, Eric? Eric says that a gallery display might be nice. I'm not sure what you mean, Eric. A gallery display of what art? The stuff for the auction, or like just an art show? Because I heard they had an art show. Did they? Was there some kind of a thing where you walked into a room?
They had galleries. So Comic Connect, Vincent Zerzola had brought a bunch of really cool pieces. Plus, I forgot the name of the illustration collection. That was a Michael Whelan piece there. I mean, the House of Secrets '92 cover. I mean, there's just some really awesome. I wish there had been more, very honestly.
Oh, okay.
And there was another one found the Adam Kubert and Wolvie fans collection in part. So just to go around and look at stuff without, obviously not for sale, but that was just really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. We're on the same page finally, Tommy. Thank you. And Mickey has officially agreed to come back. Oh, look at this. Casper is giving us some big scoop. Marvel DC cosplay MMA event, year 3.
Awesome.
It's happening.
Yeah. Sweet.
Okay, so Eric was referring to a suggestion that for the auction, that all the pieces may be put on in a room, all put up in a room, so people can walk in and out of that room throughout the day to take a look at their own leisure at all the pieces that will be auctioned later that night, you know? Yep. The question is, you know, do the promoters, you know, when space is at a premium because you want to do different things, do the promoters want to give up a room just for that? Is it worth it? Or should you use that room for other things? You know, that'll make the show better. So, but I get it. It's certainly a good idea. Actually, I can tell you, Eric, having been to the, you probably never heard of it, but there's outside Chicago, there's a convention called the Windy City Pulp and Paper Show. It's actually for vintage pulp magazines and vintage paperbacks. And that's what they do. Like they'll have an auction at every convention every year, but they have a side room outside the main room. Okay, so the main one's like a big ballroom, and then right outside in a smaller room next to it, you can walk in and out throughout the weekend, looking at all these framed pieces of art that they will auction. You know, whether it's Saturday night or whatever night it is. So, and it's pretty cool to be able to walk in at your own leisure and think about it throughout the day, or you know, and yeah, get a good look at the stuff. So, best. Okay, let me ask this, guys. Do you want to answer this before we go? Best artist find, and I think he Marcus is saying Max Dallo. Is there somebody that you found at this show for the first time that maybe impressed you, and or like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, his stuff is pretty good, or she and her stuff is pretty good. Anything like that? Anybody? Guys? Did that happen at all, or?
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. So for me, it was Maxi Dallo. He Mark Hay had listed some like pre-con commissions, and as we got closer to the show, I was kind of earlier on. I didn't really dig into the names I didn't know. But then once we got closer, I was looking at what was there, and he was the one that really impressed me. I ended up getting 2 pieces from him. I set up a pre-commission or pre-show commission, and then I loved it so much in person, I got another one at the show. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, Mannix was one that I had known of, and I finally was able to get a piece from Mannix. But like new artists, it was Dallo.
Okay, and who's this guy Wayshack people keep mentioning? It sounds so much like Horseshack. I'm like, who the hell is that? Who's Wayshack? He's an artist guy?
He's from what I know, it's a Marvel card artist.
Oh,
so he does like the paintings. I think painting. I'm not sure, but the Marvel cards.
Okay. See, look, Corey mentions 2 guys only, and it's Wayshack is one of them, and Joshua Casara is the other one. So interesting. Jeff says Mannix, Harvey Tolibao, and me? I don't know. Maybe a misspelling or something. I don't know what that is. Oh, Miles. Okay. There you go.
I like looking through the honestly George Pratt's work, just seeing it in person, and a lot of the not.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Just absolutely beautiful stuff, very moving, and not comic art, just illustration. But right next to him, I just pulled it out. I wound up getting a Ben Templesmith Gotham by Night with Jim Corrigan, the Return of the Spectre cover. I'm quite reasonable.
Cool.
So, love it.
That's really neat.
Fun guy to talk to.
Sorry, who was that by?
Ben Templesmith.
Oh, that's your Templesmith piece you mentioned earlier. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Wow. Yeah, very cool. I just wanted to address Hoarder's Hide, your comment about hiring an actual, live cattle type auctioneer. Honestly, it may make it go fast and smoothly, but personally, I don't think, and again, I'm just speaking out of turn here and I'm speaking for a bunch of people who haven't given me permission to speak, but I would guess that most comic art collectors would not want to sit through 2 hours of, that whole thing or whatever. I think I'd be annoyed, like out of my mind. I would think I'd lose my mind and want to leave the room,
Yeah.
And I see Carl's agreeing to that. So
I would not want to sit through that.
Yeah.
I said that I thought it was long, but I will say that Nick and Jimmy were entertaining, So if I heard, I'm gone.
Yeah. Never read any of Matt Allison's comics, but kind of randomly set up a pre-show commission. He knocked it out of the park. That's always great to hear. Yeah. Miles Wool did a Rorschach in Chicago oil painting for me. Magnificent. Cool. Kazra says, and JP Quison, I'm not sure, aka Gigzilla with the auction poster art. Okay. That's one of your heroes for the show, I guess you're talking about. Okay, cool.
The Gigzilla did I think it was like a really kind of, was it Howard the Duck and MODOK, I think, was that what that was? I think, yeah. But it was really interesting. The piece looked really interesting, but yeah.
Okay. All right, everybody. I think that'll wrap it up. I think we've covered pretty much everything. I just want to say next week, again, remind you, we don't have, I'll do something next week on Sunday before the Super Bowl. Anybody know what time it is? You guys know what time that the game is on at next week? I haven't even looked.
I think coverage starts right now. So
yeah, exactly. But I don't know. Like last year, we did it in early afternoon on the East Coast, and we did, so kind of like morning-ish West Coast. I'll probably come on and do something, and we'll see what we do. That's for most of you who don't give a crap about the game, anyways. And I'm hoping for the week after Super Bowl weekend, I'm hoping to get a show with Heidjer that he and I have been talking about. I don't know if Heidjer is going to have a time on that weekend, but it doesn't matter if he doesn't. We can, we'll set another date. But anyways, I gotta talk to you about that, Heidjer. So I'll be in touch with you about that. So that is all I guess I have to say for now. Again, don't know what will be happening next Sunday, but I'll do something. Again, set your notifications for my channel just so you get, once I schedule it, you'll know what and when. It won't be at the usual time because the game will be going on at the usual time. I guess that's it for now. Anything else? Let me see. I don't want to forget. I already did my promos for everybody. So yeah, I think that's probably it. So thanks everybody for tuning in. And if you haven't done so, again, I would ask you kindly, if you don't mind, please hit that thumbs up button that's right below the screen where you see Jason currently on the screen. So right beneath him, you'll see a thumbs up. Just hit that if you don't mind. I'd appreciate it. You're very welcome, Carl. Thank you so much. It's so great to see you again, my friend. I hope to see you start coming back a little more often again. Good to see that you're doing well. Good night to you, Rick. Likewise. Good night to you, Tom. And cheers to you, Jeff. Don't go crazy in Vegas next week. You might want to stay indoors with the crowds a Super Bowl weekend. And Jewish Dragons, thanking all of us. See you in the chats. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Good night, Jewish Dragons.
Look at that, Tommy. Ruben greater than the Super Bowl. Wow.
Is he drinking again?
But no, I was gonna be honest, like I always am. I was gonna admit that I happen to know for a fact Tommy is not a sports fan, so of course he thinks it's better than the Super Bowl. There you go. But you little bastard, I'll get you. But John C., the fellow Canadian, thank you, sir. Thanks for dropping in. Have a great night yourself. Dan Evan, what's up? Thank you as well. Good night to you. Good night, Tommy. Glad to have you again. Imagine Nick auctioning off steers. Oh, God. That would never end as well. Eternals, always coming in and never saying a word until the end when you're saying good night. Wow. Lovely to see you, my friend. Thank you for dropping in again. And that's it. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Wow, I can't believe 43 people still, like almost 4 dozen people still stuck around right to the goodbyes. So thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you again. And for those of you who do want to screw around for a couple of hours before the Super Bowl, yeah, just tune in sometime next weekend. All right, everybody. Have a good one and have a great. Bye-bye.